Oh my god. Hello. No, we'll go over here actually. Hello, everybody. I hope you're all having a lovely time. I opened up my stream in another window. So I had to just close it because I saw all the stuff on the side and I'm like, that's so distracting. Hello and welcome to What Makes a Good Short? The stream version. I'm planning on turning this into an edited YouTube video later. So it's slightly, just slightly more organized than usual. So let's just jump right in. I'm gonna turn off the music for this. And here we go, baby. All right. So I have on this timeline, at the beginning, we have 6 shorts that are old shorts, mostly from when I was first starting out as a VTuber. I have what I feel are 3 examples of something that are like pretty good, and 3 that are pretty bad, or at least encroaching on bad, maybe encroaching on goodness. Well, we'll get into it a little bit. And then the rest of all this is shorts from y'all. So I am going to, what happened here? I'm going to kind of take a look at all of these, and we're going to just talk about them. Everybody here has submitted them under the understanding that we are going to be doing some criticism here, whether good or bad. But the entire point is that the criticism will be constructive. So what we are not doing here is poo-pooing on any shorts that maybe are at the beginning of people's journeys, or anything like that. We're not, that's not the vibe here at all. We are just trying to help. And again, I've expressed upon everybody, in my time, I've had some people maybe not take the constructive criticism very well. They take it personally, and that's never sort of what my intent is, you know what I mean? So I'm always just like trying to help. In a general sense, I'm not giving advice if not asked. So I've been very clear about that. So that's just sort of important for me to say going forward, because having watched some of these, I have a lot to say, having pre-watched a lot of these. So let's jump right in. So at the beginning, we got these 3 from me that I feel these did pretty well on TikTok. I feel criticism is hard. It's about learning and growth for sure. Absolutely. Thank you, Cozy. That's true. Oh, I love your little your little picture now. Hell yeah. It shows up for me in the side thing. So, when I first started out in early 2021, it was a lot of throwing spaghetti at the throwing what is the term? Throwing macaroni at the wall. And just sort of seeing what sticks, right? And so a lot of things just sort of worked out, and I kind of just sort of learned from there. Like when I've been a video editor for years and years and years, but a content creator, I've only been one of those for about 3 now. Just over 3 this January. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at these 3 one at a time, and then I'll kind of talk about what I think the strengths are and what the weaknesses are of the quote-unquote good ones, and then we'll kind of go from there. Let me actually change that. I want to have it look like this. So this is as big as possible. Okay. All right, so here we go. And then let me know if this is not loud enough. Hippo's milk is pink? Really? What? It's pink! Ah! Ah! That's a lot of hippo milk. Why are they bottling hippo milk? Look at this one. It's so little. Follow for more funny videos. Okay, so Clara, hello. How are you? And thank you. Oh my goodness. So, kind of first things first. I think that this video is one of my first videos that did like really well on TikTok. And I think the sort of reason for that are sort of the following. You're good? Hell yeah. I'm glad to hear it. So I think that, in a general sense, I feel like this isn't really what I would sort of call a complete story. And I know I've talked about how I feel like shorts perhaps need an arc. And while I do feel like that is definitely true, It's not a hard and fast rule. It's like this isn't 100% of shorts, right? So this one kind of doesn't really have like a payoff. It's kind of just like, hey, I think it's a really good hook, right?
Hippo's milk is pink.
Like, for a while, my community was, like, obsessed with this. Anytime they saw hippo stuff, they'd, like, send me little baby hippo. They'd tag me in hippo stuff, and it was all hippo related. Due to the strength of this hook, right? Because, like, I didn't know. Somebody told, Dumpster PNG told me this. The hippo's milk is pink. It's right at the top. And this could be highlighted a little better. But I think the fact that I'm kind of saying it doubles down on that. And I don't feel like most people probably knew that, right? So this is just sort of like, you know, gold star, like, I didn't know this, you probably didn't know this, let's go on a small little journey together. The journey that you might do if you Googled hippo's milk, like I did.
Really? What? It's pink!
Like I thought I was being trolled, and now I'm just being silly with these baby hippo pictures.
That's a lot of hippo milk. Why are they bottling hippo milk? Look at this one. It's so little. Follow for more funny videos.
And then also this thing at the end, like I feel like some other YouTuber recommended that I remind people to follow, and I very much disagree with this now. The landscape was very different 3 years ago, but you know, like I feel like even this one, like I might tighten this up a lot more. Like there's kind of like
It's pink.
it's a lot of empty space. Like we see this before, you know, whatever. I think a lot of the strength. I think the reason this kind of resonated with people is a lot of like text effects and things like that. Like, and then the fact that everything on screen is cute and it ties to the original theme. We don't really have an end here. Like I'm just sort of laughing at this baby hippo. There's no like capstone to this short. But it still did pretty well. So I think like even if it doesn't have like a final thesis conclusion sort of thing to your YouTube short, your TikTok, if it ends on a funny note, I feel like that is fine. You know, if it's something that like relates to it and isn't just like it doesn't end with a you want to end it with a bang and not a whimper, right? So like
Little.
like I would just maybe like just end it there, and I think that's a lot stronger, right? So I think the main positive from this one is the hook. Right? So like this is like a pretty wild hook, and I think that the strength of that alone pulled the rest of the short, which I think is like kind of funny, but in a general sense, I don't feel like this short would do good or do well now, you know what I mean? Not necessarily. And you know, this can kind of, you know, let me start this sentence over. This can like the strength of one of the parts can really do the heavy lifting for the other parts if they perhaps are weaker. So if you like, if you feel like, oh, this one part is a banger, I think that is worth it to kind of do up the other parts that might not be as strong. And we can kind of get to a little bit more what that means. But like, I think the strength of this hook is like insane, right? And then everything else is like pretty okay. Like, I think it's funnier than maybe most would, right? Just because it's me, right? But I think I'm funny, but you know what I mean? So I feel like objectively it's like just okay. The rest of it, and it'll resonate with some people, but it's like nobody's gonna stick around if the hook isn't good enough. All right, so moving on from that, we have this short where I did a whole rant about Denny's. I feel like this one has kind of all the parts.
Yeah, you're never like, Denny's. You're like, it's 2 a.m. and I'm hungry. Is Denny's open? Yes, Denny's is open. It's 24 hours. And then you go to Denny's, and then if you're me, you eat the grilled cheese stick sandwich, and then you enjoy it at the moment, and then later you get a stomachache.
And we got the... I improved on the follow for more by making it shorter, but I still hate it. It's still bad. It's not even, how long is this? This is exactly 1 second, and that is too long. I greatly encourage that you do not do this thing that I used to do. even this sort of thing, like I was doing this to like remind, just a reminder, I'm a streamer, guys. Like they can't tell, you know what I mean? This sort of thing, I just feel like cheapens all of it, but that's a bit of a tangent. So this is a pretty good hook, and it's fast, and I feel like that's kind of doing a lot. Like we have a lot of kind of fast moving things happening right at the first few seconds. So
Yeah, you're never like, Denny's.
like I think this, like, it's not really a question.
Yeah, you're never like, Denny's.
But the fact that these three things come on all at once in the first, let's see, if we put this at 21 seconds exactly.
Yeah, you're never like, Denny's.
Like we have a hook within the first 3 seconds, and then it's like, what is it? Like you either are on one of two sides. You're like, but I like Denny's, or you're like, yeah, Denny's sucks. You know? And so you're like, what are they gonna say? Are they gonna agree with me, or I gotta find out why they don't like Denny's so much?
You're like, it's 2 a.m. and I'm hungry. Is Denny's open? Yes, Denny's is open. It's 24 hours. And then you go to Denny's, and then if you're me, you eat the grilled cheese stick sandwich, and then you enjoy it at the moment, and then later you get a stomachache.
So I feel like this, like, it sort of goes off the, like, you're like, oh, this is relatable. We've all perhaps had our 2 a.m. Denny's moment, you know what I mean? But then I, like, turn it around on myself.
And if you're me, you eat
and make a joke about my own lactose intolerance. You know? So, and this is, you know, and this is a genuine story, because this is literally what I would do. And, you know, at the moment, this was just sort of a big ramble. Like, this was me finding stream clips that I thought were funny, or people clipped them, and then I, you know, took it from there. But, so I feel like, you know, we got a good hook here. So this has a couple things that I want to touch on. So we have a pretty good hook. I think
Hippo's milk is pink.
it's hard to beat this hook, but but this is like okay.
Yeah, you're never like, Denny's. You're like, it's 2 a.m. and I'm hungry. Is Denny's open? Yes, Denny's is open. It's 24 hours.
Like at this point, like I feel like, hey, if you watch it up to this point, you're gonna watch the whole thing, right? Probably.
Hours. And then you go to Denny's, and then if you're me, you eat the grilled cheese stick sandwich, and then you enjoy it at the moment, and then later you get a stomachache.
So I think this one sort of, so we have like the capstone, just in a general sense, like, oh, like we have this whole thing, it's relatable, it's the middle, and then I kind of do a twist on you, and it's like, oh, but this is my experience, and it makes me sick, sort of thing, ba-bum, kind of thing. But additionally, on top of that, I think this one does a good job of kind of like doing a thing that I think a lot of beginning streamers struggle with, which is, and I've talked about this before, but relying on whatever media you are using in that moment. So usually for streamers, it's a video game, right? So, I think a lot of times it's like they try and like make shorts out of using funny moments from the game that they're playing and leaning heavily on something funny or interesting happening in the game rather than hyping themselves up, showing off their own personality, that sort of thing, right? And then so it's like a lot of times it's like, oh, this thing happened in the game, haha, and then the streamer's perhaps not really adding a lot to it. And I think that those sorts of things are like an absolute no-go. Like I don't feel like in a general sense you should ever be like, if the punchline is something that happened in the game, that who like that's fine. They could just play the game themselves. You know what I mean? What they want is to see you reacting in the way that you're going to react. If your reaction is like, "Damn, that's crazy." That's like that's nothing, right? So it's like, hey, what is your reaction to this thing? Is it like, oh my god, like that reminds me of whatever, self-insert story here, or just like a crazy funny thing? Like if you say a funny joke afterwards, like that's enough. But your funny joke can't be like, damn, that's crazy. Like, and so this sort of like touches on that. Excuse me. Mycella, hello, how are you? We got one of your videos in here, Mycella. I don't know why the Twitter downloader that I use wouldn't allow me to download the second video because it's attached to the first tweet. So I have the one of yours. And that happened with a couple people, so I do apologize. But I got the one in the lineup here later on. So this one sort of touches on it. It's sort of like, hey, this is a relatable moment, and then we tie it into something that I'm up to. And I'm gonna 100% cards on the table. When I was editing this, I wasn't thinking about it in those terms, right? I was just sort of like, this was still in spaghetti on the wall era. So like, so it's sort of just like, this is sort of a happy little accident. And again, we're going to watch some real stinkers that I made. So I'm not really trying to hype myself up or anything. That's not the point of this. You know what I mean? So it's just sort of like, these are good examples and these are bad examples, and we're going to figure it all out. So moving on to this one's called 4K video. And I think this one did really well, mainly on the fact that it was something people could kind of comment on pretty heavily, because a lot of people had a lot of different feelings about the things I said, even though what I'm saying is objectively the truth. But some people were confused. Some people thought that I was wrong. And a lot of people just wanted to talk about the thing I'm talking about. So, and I think this one has a pretty good hook as well. So here we go. Here's a big pet peeve that I have about 4K. So regular old TVs, like non-widescreen TVs, they display at 480. And what that means is that from top to bottom, it's 480 lines. This is me. This is my inner video editor coming out. So then, this is before I did video editing content. HD came out. They came out with 720 and 1080 video. And what that means, again, is from top to bottom, 720 lines and 1080 lines. Then at some point, between 1080 and 4K, they just decided, screw it! We don't care, who cares? We're gonna make 4K the number from left to right! And it just upsets me. Follow to check out more. And then we got that thing. We have this lame little joke, laughs in 4K, because you get caught in 4K, etc., etc. That's real silly. This doesn't have a very, like, if I made this now, I would have to right. And it just upsets me. I would have just ended it right here. But this one like almost encroached a minute in length. Let's see. Let's get this over to. Let's get this to right here. Let's see. Yeah, well, this is 40 seconds. So, and then we still have follow for more funny videos. I don't know how funny this video was, but you kind of see a bit of my personality coming out, right? Because I am big mad about this. You know what I mean? I'm not just saying it like it is. But like I'm teaching you all a little. We're having a little lesson together in case you don't know how TVs do be working. And then like, and then we have this whole thing, but then like right in the middle, I start freaking out. The script is cool, interesting knowledge stuff. It's interesting knowledge. It's crazy. It still upsets me because it's just, it's like when you have set like all the movies, the DVDs on your shelf of like one series, but like one of the DVDs, like they change how the spine looks. That's how I feel about the 4K situation. It's just like, come on, y'all, like, come on. It just sounds nice, so people are like, I gotta buy this new TV. It's crazy. Yeah. So this one, we kind of touched on all the parts. I think the hook's pretty good. Pet peeve that I have about 4K. What is it? What's the pet peeve? I gotta know about this. Sort of whatever, right? And then I just get right into it. We don't really have a lot of dead time. Now, if I was doing this short now, I would add graphics and things, but this was before I was really like doing that kind of work on these. You know what I mean? It's just like, well, it's just a short and here it is and it's just me and that's enough. Oh, that's okay. I'm already set up my Stella, but thank you. I think we have enough clips, but I just wanted to let you know why the second clip isn't represented here. But I appreciate you. Okay, so and then we kind of end it, and you get what you came for is also, I think, a good part, a good sort of lesson to impart. It's like, I don't remember. There was some YouTuber for YouTube kind of channel, like How to YouTube kind of channel that talked about like when it's okay to use clickbait, and kind of a deeper discussion on what clickbait means. I wish I remember who this was, so I apologize. But the basic sort of message was like, you know, you don't want to clickbait. You don't want to have like, you don't want to do a 5-minute crafts where, you know, it's like, hey, there's a picture of a cake made out of balloons, and you're like, how would they ever do that? And then that isn't in the video at all, right? That's clickbait, like no quotes clickbait. But if we want to go into air quotes clickbait, there's something to be said about like, hey, you know, if you're whatever, and this is sort of this is a tangent immediately, but like if your thumbnail, if your video is about, if it's like a smash or pass, right? Like I actually just kind of made one of these for VTuber Roy Kiato. He did a smash or pass for VTubers that submitted to his like Twitter post. So there was like a ton of different VTubers that entered. And there was like this joke at some point that Roy made about one of the VTubers where he said like I hope they have tentacles, and that was like the joke. And so I helped make the thumbnail for this video, and on the thumbnail we have in the words in quotes like I forget what exactly it says, but it's like I hope there's like I think I boiled it down to like they have tentacles ? In like quotes. But it's tied to another VTuber that wasn't the subject of that original message, right? And so like that's what I would define as clickbait in air quotes, where it's not a 100% accurate representation of what we're looking at, what you're gonna get in this video, but it's like it's not deceptive either. You know what I mean? Like it's not like it's sort of like distilling everything into its essences, and then what you're getting is still correct, right? So in the context of this short, it's like, hey, I have a big pet peeve. Here's a pet peeve about 4K, and then that's what you get. I think there's also in this way something to be said about like, I think a lot of times for shorts, you can like put the punchline at the end if the punchline is explosive. There is, and this is gonna be a bit crass language, but for VTuber Ruby Vox, we had a short once where the story she was gonna tell was interesting, but sort of the beginning was not very exciting. The beginning of her telling the story, there was no hook. Like it just starts off at the beginning of the story. So there I was, blah, blah, blah. And that's not always going to hook people in. So in this instance, because the sort of punchline was so exciting, and you see artists do this a lot where you see like a second of the final thing, and then we go to like a time lapse or whatever of them drawing the art, because you're like, I gotta see how they did. I want to see it again, sort of thing. But we use the punchline at the beginning, and then we kind of had it loop around. So the punchline for that one was, and it was referring to like toilet wipes, like the wet wipes. And she says like, if it's good enough for my butthole, it's good enough for my eyes, or something like that. Or maybe it was backwards like that. And that's a pretty like you're like, I'm sorry, what? Like if that's at the beginning of a video, I don't care who you are, you're gonna be like, what? I'm sorry, what? What are we talking about? And then we go to the beginning of the story, and you have some context of where it's gonna go. You're like, I gotta understand why you said that, kind of thing. And then there's the payoff, because at the end of the video, we loop again to the beginning, because the beginning is actually the punchline. So I think you can kind of cheat a lot of these things where it's like, this would be it's kind of like what I was mentioning before, where it's like, hey, I have a story that has a lot of legs, but if the beginning part of the story is boring, then nobody cares. But if people have the expectation of what they're going to get, if they kind of already know what's about to happen, some piece of it, then they'll stick around. And then that short did really well for Ruby, because it was a long thing, and it started off so sort of explosively, you know. And so I think in that way, like, you know, that's these are kind of ways to kind of start, to kind of, how do I say, not all of the parts of your short need to be equally as strong. I think if the hook is a lot stronger than the middle, and then we get to a good payoff, then I think that you can lean on the strength of kind of the stronger parts, if that makes sense. Any tips on maintaining your sanity during captioning? I have a whole video on this channel about captions, but it is pertaining to Premiere. So if you don't have Premiere, I think I want to say maybe you were the one that mentioned that you were editing these on CapCut. And in that case, I unfortunately don't have any advice. I'm sorry in that regard. I'm sorry. But if you do have Premiere, I have a whole video on how to do it as easily as possible, because it auto transcribes and then you kind of just do a fair amount of cleanup if you're me. But that is what I would suggest. All right, so those are three that I think are kind of are stronger. These are three that I think are all pretty not good. So this one's about a bird. Oh my goodness! Ah! No! Get away! Get away, you! And then he's like, rah! Rah! Oh, what a big bird. Follow for more funny videos. All right, so again, I'm so embarrassed about these. I hate this. I hate these little end things so much. So okay, so this short has just like I feel like all the short has is a just okay punchline. And a whole lot of like what is happening, and we never really get resolution on what was happening in this video. So this video did very poorly, and I also just don't think it's very good, right? So what happened, for the context for y'all that you would never have otherwise, is that I imported this PNG for a bit for some, I don't remember why. And the PN, like the image was like enormous. So when I imported it, it took up the whole screen. And then I just joked around about that. But all this short is a big bird suddenly, and then me laughing a lot. Oh my goodness! And that's sort of nothing. Ah! No! Get away! Get away, you! Like, I tried to do a lot of heavy lifting with the captions here, but it was not anywhere close enough to kind of to save this. Like, you know what I mean? Oh, and it's also just, it's long for what this is. It's also just way too long. What a big bird. So this is sort of, this clip's sort of nothing, right? It's like, it's me laughing. There's not really a joke. Like, this is, what a big bird. This is like almost a joke right at the end. But I would argue that it's not really a joke. He's like, rah! And it's just really long-winded. If you think me laughing is funny, then you'll enjoy it. But me laughing is kind of it. And the viewer of the short is not even really in on what's happening at all, so they don't understand why I'm laughing. I think context is extremely important. You don't need full context. You just need enough context to understand what I'm about to show you in the next, 60 seconds or whatever. So, that's kind of like where I'm at with these, I just feel like, I'm gonna take a sip of tea. You gotta, if your clip doesn't have like, it doesn't need full context, but if you don't have enough context where the viewer is confused, like if I don't understand what's happening at the very beginning, you're gonna lose me. You know what I mean? It's either that, or if the point of the hook is to be like, well, what's going on? But not in a confusing way, like, oh, we sort of like trust that there's going to be a payoff. And this is, oh my goodness! This isn't, oh my goodness is not the promise of anything happening. It is I realized I had that zoomed in. Oh my goodness! Like, I'm kind of slowly revealing this bird. But there's no promise of something to come. It's just like, oh, there's a bird and it's a stream. What? And he's laughing. What? And so for these reasons, I feel like I'm just being like, I think this was a funny moment on stream, right? But like that like very rarely will actually translate into a short, like on its own. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is funny to me in the moment. Is this funny to a broader audience? And that's a good question to sort of be asking yourself. Like, is it like, can I step back from this objectively? And do I think this is funny, and or can I make this funny enough, kind of thing. So that's the first one. This is the next one. This one's real short. Wait, Buffalo Buffalo wings? What if the one-winged angel Sephiroth had a single buffalo wing instead of like a wing? So that, I think that joke is like kind of funny. There's a visual component to it. But, like, again, there's just sort of no context. Like, I don't remember what we were talking about here. I might have been playing Little Nightmares. I'm not 100% sure. But we were just goofing off, having a grand old time. And then I must have been talking about regular bird wings or something. And then somebody says buffalo wings, and I'm like, that's very funny. But I didn't include any of the setup. Right? I just came in right at the part that I thought would be funny. This is barely highlighted up here. Like, I don't know that you can really even see. I don't know, like, it would have sort of barely helped. It would have helped very slightly if I highlighted this more. Or, oh, shoot. Forgot that I'm looking at a single short. And it doesn't get any, like, darker, you know what I mean? So there's not enough, like, context for what we're talking about, but it's also just to tell a real silly, dumb joke. So this is one of these ones where it's just sort of like, and it's also really short. It's really, really short. So, which nobody seems to want anymore. Everybody wants stuff as close to 60 seconds as you can get, or if you're TikTok, 10 minutes, I guess. Is it a joke? I don't know. Oh, God. So... Wait, Buffalo wings? It's like, I laughed at it, and I feel like a lot of the stuff I was putting out was just sort of like, hey, I thought this was funny in the moment. Surely other people will, and it was difficult for me to kind of take a step back and be like, oh, this isn't actually very funny. Like, I had the image. What if the one-winged angel Sephiroth had a I had this image in my mind, and I was like, how do I get here? But this isn't even really, like, it's, like, kind of funny, but it's not, like, funny enough for a short, I feel like. Especially without any build-up. It's just like, I just want an excuse to make a silly, goofy meme. And it just fell flat on its face, right? So... And it also, like, this is kind of already just the payoff. One-winged angel Sephiroth had a single buffalo wing. And then... Like a wing. And then I also, like, I was trying something where I had the words go over the follow for more, but this is just a mess of words. It's like, we got 1 word, 2 word, 3 words here. A disaster. I feel like, as a small tangent, if there's multiple things on screen that need to be read... at the same time, that's bad. People can't read 2 things at the same time, unless it's like, the only exception sort of being if there is like crosstalk, that both parts are important, or like that's the point, is that they're kind of talking over each other. I feel like if there's crosstalk, you would want to caption like the part that the viewer needs to know about, and not the part that is irrelevant, right? Everything edited down to only what the short needs, and nothing that the short doesn't need. And we'll also get to a lot of that. Some of these viewer submitted ones are like they're just kind of long. And just trimming things down significantly can help with that. So that one I feel like is also pretty rough. This one like approaches something that's a little better. in terms of just like kind of getting a sense of my personality a little more. Like I'm like something's happening, and we'll get to it in a sec, of course, but something's happening in this, and I'm goofing on it. So the whole point of this short is that I'm goofing on this thing. But it isn't, it's not very, it's not really like a joke. I'm just kind of being a little silly. So
This guy's up here like, I touched the spoon. I like to touch the spoon.
it's from Little Nightmares, so it's just
I'm
real
just
creepy.
here to touch the spoon. I love my spoon. Okay, I put the spoon down now. I am done touching my spoon.
And like, that's like, maybe that's funny, but like, it's one of these things on like, where there's not really a joke here. I'm just sort of pretending to be this creepy long-armed man, who touches spoons. He loves touching a spoon. But there's no payoff. There's no real like.
Guy's up here like,
There's not really like, this is like sort of a setup.
This guy's up here like, I touched the spoon.
It's not a setup, but it's not really a very good like hook, you know.
I like to touch the spoon.
And there's something to be said about like, oh, get out of here. I don't care about that. Be gone with you.
This guy's up here like, I touched the spoon.
Like I got right into it. So I think that that's good. Like, hey, there's just a tiny bit of setup. We need to get to the good part immediately. And so I feel like I accomplished that, but like the hook itself isn't very strong at all.
This guy's up here like, I touched the spoon. I like to touch the spoon. I'm just...
And then that's just it. It's just this. It's the same joke for a very long time. And so again, like this one's like approaching what I might find sort of acceptable to make a short out of. But at the same time, it's just like, it's not really a lot here. There's nothing to go off of. It's just sort of like, this voice is like maybe a 4 or 5 out of 10 on the goofiness scale. It's like, that's not like carrying the joke or the comedy of wanting to watch this. It's honestly pretty hard to even visually see what's going on because the game is so upsetting. And at this point, I also still felt like I needed to keep myself in frame at all times, which I very much disagree with now. I think getting visual, having the visuals be very dynamic is important, and that can often include going full screen to the game, cutting full screen to you. I think I see a lot of shorts, and this isn't necessarily wrong, right? But like, I see a lot of shorts where you got VTuber on the bottom and game on top, or vice versa, and then that's just the framing for the entire short. But I feel like having these cuts helps the viewer. It makes it more engaging. Like, you don't want to go like insane, but I think having a cut or two, or like, like if there's cause for it right at the beginning, like that sort of thing always helps. Like my signature move is to this is, what do we got? These are 30 frames. So like for these guys, like I would always, let's see, we put a keyframe here and we put a keyframe here, and this is usually what I do for my clients. Like in 60 frames per second, I'll go 4 frames, but in 30 frames, I go 3 frames. And then we kind of just like, we lock this here, but then at the beginning, I would just like zoom in, and then I search for a whoosh, and I put a whoosh.
This guy's up here.
So that at the very, very, very beginning, there is some movement at all. And this is just a silly little trick.
This guy's up here
that I think will kind of like trick a lot of people's brains into like being like, oh, excuse me, I'm gonna have more tea. My throat's all like, I'm all phlegmy wemmy. A lot of mornings I like. Hold on, I'm gonna mute and do one big cough. Are you ready to not listen? Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your patience. So yeah, I think it's one of me. It's a wow dopamine.
This guy's.
It's just sort of like, hey, something's happening.
This guy's up here like,
and then we have a cut. So like, I feel like in that regard, just with the editing part of this, I feel like that's pretty good. If we, what is that? We got, if we're at 55, come on. Then we have
This guy's up here like,
then we have a cut like right at the 1 second mark. And that's really good. I feel like a lot of people will tell you like, dang, if your short doesn't have a cut within the first 2 seconds, it's bad. And I don't agree with that necessarily, but I think it definitely will help. If so, a lot of times, depending on what you're about to show them, if you have something and then you cut to it right away, it's like they don't have time to think about scrolling away. 1,000% stealing it, hell yeah. And so it's sort of like, and then if the thing you're showing them is interesting, then they'll stick around. Like I remember there was one where, and this is I couldn't tell you who this was or what this was, but I remember feeling very inspired by this, where it was some TikTok of like, I think it was a second or less than a second of like some set designer PA or something, and they were like, they had lit these like smoke sticks like they use for photography or like slow-mo animation, if you know what I'm talking about. They have like colored smoke. And they had lit this and they were walking onto the set. And before I could even parse like everything I was seeing, now we're in slow motion of the model like holding these sticks and doing these slow motion like spins with them kind of thing. And I was like, wow, I didn't even have time to think about what I was looking at before I got to the good thing. But it's just, and that was just a little trick. Like, they could have just started with the slow-mo, but I think not having a cut, because once the slow-mo started, there wasn't a lot of cutting. But since there was a cut right at the beginning, like, I saw something, and now immediately I'm at the good stuff. Like, I was hooked. Like, I was super hooked, and that video had a ton of views. So I remember kind of thinking about that video and kind of parsing together my whole situation here. So I think just having something happening, even if it's just like you can get more creative. This guy's in this, but like I feel like this is just sort of a little bit tried and true. This guy's up. There's some movement. You swipe down, you see this. There's something happening. I think at a subconscious level, you understand like, oh, this video is edited. I have seen an edit before the video even began. So there's a very high likelihood that there will be more editing in this video, and it won't just be one static screen, if that makes sense. And those are my sort of thoughts on my own shorts. So now we're going to get into the user submitted shorts, and we have about this many, but then I also have I took some of these are on another time. Yeah, here we go, the landscape ones. So we have these landscape ones, and I'm gonna go over to a better way to look at them when we get there. So here we go. So I pre-watched all these, and we'll just kind of see how they go. So we got, this one is from VTuber. Everybody's a VTuber. Crossbite.
There's just too many lasers, and it doesn't make sense. Who would design a place like this? Who would design a place like this and then build it? Who would build a place like this? Tell me. Guys, tell me who would build a place like this. Because I wouldn't. This is not in the budget. This is not in the budget for a place like this. No one can afford this. Not even Elon Musk could afford this. Jeff Bezos would be struggling to afford this place. No.
All right, so what is the core? What is this short telling us? And I think we're going to kind of do this for a lot. We're going to do this exercise for a lot of these. What is the core joke or message that this short is trying to tell us? For me, the joke is, hey, this architecture is like crazy. Why would this place, like, this is a level in a video game and not an immersive place that would actually exist in a world, you know? I also think about, this is a similar thing to, like, I think in the first Star Trek reboot movie with Chris Pine, like, the enemy, the final battle takes place on, like, the enemy spaceship, and they just have all of these, like, really thin walkways with no guardrails, and the people I was watching this movie with were just like, I like this movie, but, like, what the hell is it? Who would design a ship like this? Like, you're just, like, one trip away from just, like, dying, and, like, It was just so it's just so they can have an interesting fight scene where people are hanging off the railing. But it was stupid, right? And so this is that same sort of joke. But for me, so I think that the joke is like good. Like I think that that is good enough to work with, and there are enough funny things here said. But we have this. I think we have like 4 frames of a follow me, which I think is what happened? Oh no. Here we go. So I'm again, I keep saying it, but I am like a big advocate of not doing this. If people want to follow you, if people are interested in your content, they're going to follow you organically. You don't need to trick them. In my experience, if you sort of like push people to follow you, like reminding people to follow you is one thing, but like if you're like trying to be like pushy is the only word I can describe, then that's not going to garner like long-term fans. Like I've had, like, I feel like when I first started out, there was sort of, because of TikTok, and because I was doing well on TikTok, I had like this explosive sort of boom, right? But that was not sustainable because like it was very sort of flash in the pan, right? I felt like I was doing a lot of this sort of a thing. And you could see that in the old videos. I was like, follow, you got to follow me. Oh my God. And if people want to follow you, they're going to follow you. And then you're going to have engaged fans, right? You're going to have an engaged community rather than people that are like, well, I followed you because like you said so, but now I'm dropping off. Goodbye. Bye. Goodbye. See you. Goodbye. And, you know, and like, there's something you said about sort of the quality of your community, the people following you. Like if you're, there's something, there's a, how do I say, there is, oh, I can't remember any of these YouTubers' names. I'm referencing all these things other people have said, but, oh no, it's a guy from Channel Makers, but Channel Makers is now run by a different, a company, and now that I don't like that channel anymore, but it was run by this cool guy, and he had, like a thing that he liked to do where he would say like, I don't tell viewers of my YouTube videos to subscribe. I just tell them to like the video. Because like if people are engaged in like a subscription, how do I say? A subscription, if somebody subscribes to a video because you told them to subscribe and then they don't watch more of your videos, then that hurts your metrics. That hurts everything. So like if they're going to subscribe, they'll subscribe anyway. You know, like, and YouTube is pretty, like, you don't need, like, if somebody watched an entire video of yours, it will suggest more videos of yours to them later. Like, 100% it will. They don't need to subscribe for YouTube to do that. So, if you're just making good content and telling people to not subscribe, but to like the video, then your subscribers are engaged, and it's giving like non-subscribers also something to do that will help your metrics instead of hurting it. Because like maybe they'll subscribe anyway, but they're doing it because like they made the decision, and not because you're like subscribe and they're like, I guess I'll subscribe. You're right, and then they don't actually watch any more of your videos because they didn't. They almost like, I don't want to say you tricked them because that's not really real either because they made the choice to do it. But like, you know what I mean? I feel like what I'm saying is sort of clear. That was a big long tangent about that. But in regards to this video, I think that the joke is good. But we spend a lot of time kind of being redundant and with nothing happening. So
there's just too many lasers and
so there's a couple. This is going to be kind of like the subject of the video and a little bit workshop like this video. So for me, like, what we're supposed to be focusing on is the lasers, but now the text is covering up the lasers, so that's a little rough. We also have this whole moment where it's very difficult to tell what is happening. Like, this is like too many little things happening all at once, and I don't know what's happening. But like pretty easy on, pretty early on, immediately, like,
there's just too many lasers, and it doesn't make sense.
So that's the line that we need, and it would be better to kind of see the lasers here. more clearly.
Who would design?
And then we can cut to the close-up.
Who would design a place like this?
And
who would design a place?
And then we get a bit redundant here, right? So we're kind of just saying the same thing again. So we could cut this beginning line because this has more information.
Who would design a place like this and then build it?
And this could be, I think in this instance, like there's too many words on screen at once. Like I would want a little less. I don't like the one word at a time, even if that does unfortunately garner a lot of retention. I hate it, but I try to stick to about 4 to 5 words on average per thing. And then you can use that to kind of like emphasize points. You know, it's like this can help emphasize a joke. This can help emphasize who would design a place like this and then build it. You know, like if those are separate things, then you can emphasize the second part as like, this is even, let's escalate the situation.
Who would build a place like this? Tell me. You guys tell me who would build a place like this.
And then that's all just repeating again. Because then you can cut immediately to
place like this and then build it. Because I wouldn't. This is not in the budget.
This is not in the budget.
It's not in the budget for a place like this.
And then we're seeing.
This is not in the budget for a place like this.
And this is more sort of repeating.
No one can afford this. Not even Elon Musk could afford this. Jeff Bezos would be struggling to afford this place. No.
And then there's like a lot of this at the end, right? And then this is not ending with a bang, perhaps. But like, so now if we just cut this down to kind of all the parts where they're talking, you know.
There's just too many lasers, and it doesn't make sense. Who would design a place like this and then build it? Because I wouldn't. This is not in the budget. No one can afford this. Not even Elon Musk could afford this. Jeff Bezos would be struggling to afford this place.
And then that's all the key things, and I feel like that hits a little harder. And this is what I've done is very sloppy kind of re-chopping, of course, but like, you know what I mean? Like we are getting this down to the essence. It's
There's
like,
just too many lasers.
We got the hook because there's too many lasers. It doesn't make sense. And we're getting personality. It's not just like, oh, this is hard and I'm dying a lot. Oh no. I had to find the bamboo, but it's like, oh, now this is crazy. I am highlighting how ridiculous this level is, and I'm making sort of my own jokes about it. But I also feel very strongly that, like, you can't just have all this dead air. Like, people will leave if there's quote-unquote nothing happening. You know what I mean? So I get kind of scared to make big cuts like that. I feel like the viewer will get whiplash. But seeing it all together, it makes sense. I would just say, like, in that instance, Mycella, like, what I would suggest is making the edit the way that, like, you have been, and then copying the whole thing, and then making another version that's, like, cut down to just its essence, you know? And then comparing those two, because I think, like, there's something to be said about, like, you want, ideally, you want your shorts to be longer, but if a longer short means a lot of dead air, then that's gonna hurt way more than it helps, because people will swipe away if they're not kind of getting what they want. Like this one's sort of like the hook itself is like, I think it's like pretty okay. It's not like sort of asking a question or suggesting or setting up like more stuff. Like, I think the things that follow it are all funny, and these are good, you know, funny observations. And kind of like, you know, silly ideas, like the fact that like Bezos or Musk couldn't own a place like this or would even build a place like this in the first place, right? But the strength of the hook isn't, I think, enough to keep all that dead air, right? So cutting it down, and now we have, this is 26. So this is now about 15 seconds, when the original was something more like pretty long. Real pretty long. But like viewers, you know, there's something to be said about like viewers will handle a lot more than you imagine in terms of like whiplash. Like you don't want to go like if there's like 5 cuts in the first 1 second, like that's probably too much. But you know what I mean? Like there's a balance you can strike. But you know, there's a book, there's like a filmmaking book, that relates that sort of posits that viewers are typically okay with the idea of a hard cut, or like a jump cut, because we as humans blink our eyeballs, and that's why we're like okay with it, and we don't have a problem with it, in that way. I think in a general sense, you want to be, when you do a jump cut, like I don't want to see the same thing. I don't want the Philly DeFranco kind of vibe, like early YouTube stuff. I like this to this, I think is excellent. Like we are creating visual dynamics, more visually dynamic imagery, right? So we go from a 2-shot to a 1-shot, back to a 2-shot, and then like if we are editing it this way, maybe I would cut to a 1-shot of just the game, right? Like no one can afford this, kind of thing. I think there's also something to be said about the fact that there's like some black at the top. I think there's a lot of things you can do. If you make like a duplicate at the bottom, you can kind of, hold on. Let me add a crop here. This is just the baked in video, so it's not actually black at the top there. It's not actually just nothing. So you can do something like this where you kind of put a Gaussian blur at the bottom, and you can kind of cheat it so it's like technically the same like video. And then you can either like, I usually just lower the opacity over black to make it dark, or you can do a Lumetri color over here to kind of like lower the exposure a little bit. Those both have effectively the same result. And then when you watch
lasers,
so if you don't have enough like video to kind of cover the whole screen, you know what I mean? You can do this sort of thing. I do this in my shorts like all the time. If I have like a square image or something that I need to put in the vertical format, I'll just like put this thing in the background. It's cheap and easy to just not have a bunch of black on the screen, if that makes sense. So those are my thoughts on Crossbites. Let's move on to, I think it's pronounced Hashaki. We got 2 from Hashaki, and they're both, oh no, maybe I also only have 1. I think that same Twitter thing happened. So we're gonna go over here to look at that though. We're gonna change this. J Mama, hello. All right, so here we go.
Anyway, you guys have direction if you don't have anything else to do.
Ben!
You do have something else to do.
No!
Do you not
I didn't-
see the
I-
way?
No, I was backing down the
You
ramp.
fucking slut!
Oh no! What do we do?
I guess you need to empty it and then pick it up.
I think maybe you just put blocks underneath his ass.
Maybe.
I'm sitting here like moving it across the way, and I just see the bench truck full send down the ramp.
It moves fast down the ramp too. I
Ah!
What you do backwards?
No!
No.
All right. So for me, I feel like this has a few like key moments, and then a lot of not really funny banter, or at least not in a way that sort of serves the short, if that makes sense. So what is your short here? Oh my God, we crashed, and then my cargo thing fell in the water. That's all very funny, right? So we kind of start off.
Anyway, you guys have
with
direction if you don't have anything else to do.
Ben!
You do have
like, I think it's one of these things where I feel like we could actually just start it off
direction
like,
if you don't have
I know it's a little hard to kind of parse what's happening, but, and this one is landscape, so we're going to assume it's for Twitter or something. But a lot of these same rules apply, even if it's not a technical short. Technically a short, I should say. So if we start it here,
You don't have anything else to do.
Ben!
You do have-
and then we have this crash. Maybe we had a crash sound effect, kind of thing. Maybe like right there.
No!
And then he's teetering on the edge there.
Do you not
I didn't-
see the
I-
way?
No, I was backing down.
We can kind of cut to the key lines here. I think also there's something to be said about, like, in terms of choosing this to make it a short, right? So now what I've done, and I've sort of given an example of, like, hey, you can kind of, like, fudge your own hook. Like, you get to decide what your hook is. Your hook doesn't need to be the very beginning with all the context. I don't need to know I don't know what game this is, right? That doesn't really matter. I can tell that it's just I'm observing that it's some sort of a crafting thing. They have to move logs from one thing to the other. And there was an accident. And that's all I need. That's all the context I need. I don't need anything else. So I don't need the full they included getting in the truck and doing all this, and that doesn't matter because
You don't have anything else.
we can infer, like, and then we get this third person view.
No! Do you not
I
see?
didn't.
And then we can cut to this line of dialogue.
No! Do you not
I didn't-
see the
I-
way?
No, I was backing down the
You
rail.
way?
And I'm always a big proponent, unless there's something visually happening on screen or there's a dramatic pause, just cut out any dead air like this. Like, that's just always how I feel. Like, unless the dead air serves a purpose, and that's really what you got to be thinking of. Like, does this serve a purpose? Even if the purpose is this is a joke to make the viewer laugh, right? Like, this is the joke part of the joke. Like, that's part of the purpose, and that all, like, will work and make sense.
Do you not
I didn't-
see the
I-
way?
No, I was back.
And I kind of do these J cuts or L cuts, depending, so we kind of, like...
No, I was backing down the
You
rail.
fucking slut!
So then we can have, like, that line. I think there's something to be said about when you're choosing your clips also. Like, a lot of people do streams in kind of this collab format, right? And I think to that, this doesn't have any subtitles or any captions on it, which you know me, like, I 1,000,000% of the time on short form content want to see full captions, like full captions all the time. And what you can do in this sort of thing is you can have, like, let's go to captions and graphics real quick. So if you're captioning it, you can be like, hi, hello, this is maybe your main speaker. You give them, like, one color set. Let's pick a font that is not garbage to look at. There we go. So we can kind of, like, we can center and we can lower right here. Maybe this is the main, like, the streamer, right? This is their text. But, like, maybe if you want to have additional speakers, like, this person has purple hair. I don't personally, like, if somebody hired me to work on this, I'd have to pick some colors for them. So I might just kind of click on here, go to the fill, and instead of white, you can kind of use, like, the dropper here to maybe get a color that's kind of in this purpley range, and then maybe you make it lighter. And so now you have this for, and this will be, like, whenever this person speaks, right? So it's a little clearer, like, who's speaking when, that's not what I want, center. So that'll help with, like, clarity, especially when there are multiple speakers. Sometimes the animated PNGs at the bottom can help with this, but I think always kind of, like, being clear on who's speaking is very important. Especially if you're opting to not include something that's said, if it's just, like, some unrelated crosstalk kind of a thing. And that's also just a cheap and easy way. Like, I feel like keeping the same font is correct. Like, too many fonts, people go crazy over fonts. I think keeping the same font is generally correct. But, Hashaki, hello. It's yours. This is one, is it, listen, is it has hockey or is it Hashaki? Could you tell me, please? So yeah, we're working on this one. I don't think I have the second one from you, unfortunately, but hey, Shocky. Oh, okay. Thank you. Cool. Okay, so that is part of this. So like we have this.
I was backing down the
You
ramp.
fucking slut.
So I think that's a funny enough line, right? To kind of like we'll cut there, and then kind of a lot of unrelated talk happens, and perhaps when they try to get out of the car, then it falls over.
The ramp too.
So we're just gonna double check here, but
Oh no! What do we do?
yeah, absolutely.
I guess you need to empty it and then pick it up.
I think maybe you just.
So there's a
put
lot of this
blocks
talk. There's a lot of like
underneath the
laughing and a lot of talk about what to do.
I'm sitting here like moving it across the way, and I just see the bench truck full send down the ramp.
And then again, we kind of have like a repetition, a repeat. Like we, the viewer, we just saw that, and this information is funny, in the moment to tell everybody that's playing the game. But we as the viewer, we just saw it, so we don't need to be retold that just happened. Like we just saw it a second ago. So this is all like,
I just see the bench truck full send down the ramp.
Woo.
It moves fast down the ramp too.
Ah!
No.
So I think honestly, like, there's something to be said about maybe.
It moves fast down the ramp too.
I think we can just let's see what happens if we just get rid of like all of this, and we just sort of.
Ah!
So here's my thought, because I think that this is a funny enough moment, right? I will say this sort of like full of resources never got back. So what you just got here, but what I've kind of been talking about, I'm gonna call you Shocky, if that's okay. Is what you want to focus on is stuff that highlights you as a streamer, and if what the clip is just sort of like a funny thing that happened in the video game, it's perhaps not like the best thing to make a short out of. And so for this one, I feel like I don't see like a ton of personality, like a little bit, but really the main focus on like, oh, we crashed, how unlikely.
I didn't
See the way.
I was backing down the
You
ramp.
fucking slut. Ah!
Okay, so I think what I want to do is like, I think that this hook is okay,
You don't have anything else to do.
Bitch!
but it's like it takes like a little long, like not a lot, but even if we start it right
You
here.
don't have anything else to do.
Bitch! No!
So oh shoot. So what I want to do is I kind of want to cheat the hook a little bit. I want to focus on like, we see a drowning truck now, and maybe we kind of like, oh, this sucks. Let's fix this. Woo! Okay. Yeah, maybe we kind of like zoom in on this over the course of.
You don't have anything else to do.
Bitch!
And so this is kind of an example of what I was talking about earlier, where it's like sometimes it's okay to start at the end, and the viewer that will maybe make the viewer more likely to stick around, since they kind of sort of know what the end is, but they don't know how we got there.
You don't have anything else to do.
Bitch! No! Do you not
I didn't-
see the
I-
way?
I was backing down the
You
ramp.
fucking slut! Ah!
And then it would loop to this, right? Like, and that's like, I think either of these is like,
Ah!
Like, there's also something to be said, like, like if I was editing this myself, I'd probably just end on the scream, because I think screams are funny.
I third.
Ah!
And then you loop back to
Ah!
I third.
Ah!
So then we have
I don't have
this.
anything else to do.
Bitch!
Nothing else to do.
No! Do you not
I didn't-
see the
I-
way?
I was backing down the
You
ramp.
fucking slut!
I third.
Ah!
And I think with captions you could kind of like maybe use whatever like emotes you might have or anything like that to try and like sell this a little more. But in a general sense, like to the question of the live and the video that we're doing right now on youtube.com/Comfy Catboy Edits. Is that what it is? No, it's Comfy Edits. I don't know the name of my own channel. For me, this doesn't do really, this doesn't sell you as a performer, you as a streamer. Romulus, hello, and thank you. We wanted to get emotes to help with TikToks. Hell yeah, beautiful. But yeah, I think focusing on funny stuff and interesting things that you are doing is like the best thing you can do. You want to sell, like, anybody can play this game, and like this is perhaps a unique situation that happened to you, and so like this isn't like how to say, this is sort of riding the line a little bit, because like this isn't just something that quote unquote could happen to anyone, right? But it's sort of like what you want to highlight, like how you reacted to it in the moment. And I think that mainly what we're focusing on is the crash itself and how unlikely it is that that might happen, if that makes sense. So what I would like to see, you know, kind of going forward, right, is like, hey, this happened. How did I handle it? Like, what funny thing did I say? Or like, what did that result in, kind of thing, if that makes sense. All right, so that is that short. Let's go back to this view to, oh no, okay. The next one is also landscape. So, okay, this is from, no, this is from, Cody Gamerboy. I think that's their Twitter handle, and then their Twitter display name was Raven S or Raven 5. So here we go. Here's this.
One live, two blanks. I'm gonna call it, the first one is a blank.
So this one, again, it kind of like, for me, it kind of has that exact same problem that I was just describing. Love criticism being bad ones, because it helps you think of a different viewpoint. Hell yeah. That's what I love to hear. Thank you. Because it's all in the interest of, as I had a whole spiel at the beginning, but it's all in the interest of, like, of being constructive. You know, like, that's the reason we're all here. So I'm glad, and I appreciate that. Rotel, hello. Yours is in here. I think it's, I'm going alphabetically, so I think it's near the end. So this one kind of does the same thing that I was just describing a moment ago, where I don't have a single sense of this person's personality, right? So, and this is also a little, this is kind of just one big long clip of this game, which this game, I keep seeing Chibidoki play this, and I'm so curious about, like, if this is a game you can beat, or if there's progression, or like what the deal with this game is. I'm so curious.
The first one is a blank.
But so like we watched the whole setup, which let's see.
One live, two blanks. I'm gonna
like it's what is this? It is over 12 seconds until we have any sort of meaningful dialogue, right? This is all set up. And like, if we wanted to cut this down, we certainly could.
1 live, 2 blank.
And then that's it. And then that's all you need. Like, we can cut out all of this. 1 live, 2 blanks.
1 live, 2 blank. I'm gonna call it the first one is a blank.
Like, we don't need any of that. That is completely... The short is 100% fine without any of that, right?
Blank. I'm gonna call it the first one is a blank.
And then for me, like, if this is the kind of joke you're gonna do, like, I feel like you cut it off, like, very quickly. So, like... And then even have the music kind of start up a little earlier. Let's, And then, like, we just end it real fast. And then that's it. And then we're done. Having the song go longer doesn't make it funnier. You know what I mean? So, and then it's over. However, again, I feel like for me, like, I would say that I wouldn't want to make this into a short because it doesn't highlight their personality, like, at all. They put this edit in, certainly, but at the same time, it's like, what is the... I guess what you want to do with your shorts is, like, shorts are... How do I put this? Like, if you're a streamer, right, which I think most of us are, what is the goal of your shorts? Is the goal of your shorts to have a lot of people watching your shorts? Or is it to, at least in the short term, get people to come to your streams, right? And what is a good way to get somebody to come to your streams? They need to have a sense at all of what your personality is. Like, you got to think about somebody like XQC. Now, I've asked on Twitter, I literally don't understand the appeal of XQC. I think he's a pretty horrid little man, but he's one of the top streamers, right? So there is certainly something there for a lot of people, right? And regardless of if I agree with that or not, like, that's whatever. That's up for debate, I guess. But like, there's certainly something there. And I think that, and people can see that, right? Whether they're hate watching or whatever for XQC in particular. But I feel that sort of nobody is going to consider coming to your stream from a short if there is no sort of personality tied to it. So I strongly always advise that, like, your shorts highlight you, even if you have a guest on, and like that, because I see this a lot too, where it's like, oh, I had a guest on and my guest said something funny, so let me make a short about it. Or my collab partner said something funny, but I didn't really say something funny. Like, I wouldn't make a short about that. Like, maybe it'll get your channel views if it's if the content's funny enough, but then what's the point? What's the end goal? It's like, okay, well, I had this guest on my stream and they were funny. But maybe I didn't banter with them in the same, in a way that, like, I added it. Like, anytime I'm editing for clients, I am always doing my best to try and, like, make sure that they say the punchline, even if maybe the collab partner kind of did a lot of the talking. It's like, oh, what is the end? I want the person that hired me to edit this to look good, you know? So what we're trying to do is, like, hey, we'll do everything I can to highlight you, make it, you know, we're not fudging the numbers or anything, but just sort of like cutting things off where you said a good thing, and then that's the ball game. So for this, it's just sort of like this edit is like kind of funny because, oops, I was wrong, but I don't know anything about Cody Gamer Boy or Raven 5 or Raven S. You got to be the main character in your videos. That's right. I love Asmongold, but a lot of people don't. I feel like he said a lot of inflammatory stuff lately. I don't really follow the big boy streamers personally, but that's just me. Okay, so that is that one. We kind of workshopped it to make it a little more digestible, but at the end of the day, I feel like I probably wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to turn this into a short. For this stated reasons. All right, so I have 2 from VTuber Gojira. I think they're like a Godzilla one. So this is real quiet, but let's just see. Lethal Company collab, Wednesday 31st, 8 p.m. All right, 10 plus Dino VTubers. So let me put this on the right thing. So first and foremost, I included this example mainly because I kind of just wanted a short time to explain that I feel like TikToks, YouTube Reels, etc. that are promoting just like a stream are typically like not what you want. Because you don't know when somebody's gonna see this. It's like there's something to be said about like if you have some big numbers, if you have some big followers, and maybe you're doing like a really special something or other, like that's sort of one thing. But like I feel like just having a TikTok that is first and foremost like really, really slow going. Like it takes me even, I've played an amount of Lethal Company, and it takes me a while to even understand that that's what I'm looking at right here. And then the music, like, cuts out. And then it's just a bunch of words on the screen. So this sort of thing, I really just feel like people should not, like, if you wanted to make this a story on your TikTok account or your Instagram or, like, whatever, like, that's fine. But, like, if you have stuff like this in your actual Reels, your actual, you know, your TikTok, like main videos, like, this isn't ever going to do numbers. This sort of thing. Like, what you could do if you wanted, if there was, like, some big special event, is you could kind of make a highlight reel and then, of like, previous, you know, Lethal Company streams you've done. And then sort of right at the end, you're like, Lethal Company collab, these people, this day. Because then it's like, oh, I gave them, like, an entertaining, like, video. This is something where I'm just sort of like, what is there going to be a payoff to this? And the payoff is an announcement, which for me is no payoff at all. You know what I mean? Like, this is certainly, yeah, it's sort of just like, it's even at its core level, like, it's just an announcement. It's like, if I don't, like, most people that are going to see this, let's just say we're uploading this to TikTok, right? Like, most people that are going to see this are not going to be Gojira's followers. So they don't know anything about Gojira, right? All they know is a door that's floating in the air, right? So for me, it's like, who, I'm zoomed in again. A door floating in the air. So for me, it's just sort of like, if I didn't know who this streamer was, I have zero incentivization to want to come see this, you know? Like, maybe their viewers will see, but if their viewers are keyed in, they probably already know about it, you know? Maybe not, but like TikTok is not the best place to post, like, announcements like this. Like, regular old announcements. Like, I think, like, stories and, like, the Instagram stories is also an okay to put that kind of stuff. You could maybe put something like this on Twitter, where it's clear, like, oh, mostly people that are going to see this are my followers. That sort of thing, if that makes sense. We have another one from Gojira that's sort of a different, this is like a regular sort of video.
No, I didn't get a ball. It's over.
Let me raise the volume, actually. Let's say 9. We're gonna put hard limiter, just so I don't blow y'all's ears out. -3. Okay.
No, I didn't get a ball. It's over. It's over. No. Wait, no way. No way. No way. Yes! Yeah! Let's go! Yeah!
All right, so I feel like we've been doing this for long enough today that you can probably see what my critiques are going to be on this. So I think the main one is that there is this whole middle section where nothing really, like, we're watching them go and do this race, but that part isn't necessarily like nail biting or like there's you know, we have this sort of joke extremely focused because they're not saying anything, but like for me it's just sort of like I don't know, and then we kind of like I don't know, we're like emphasizing things that aren't really I don't know, like we have this zoom in on the bonk, but like I don't know, is that like we're spending time editing on like a bonk that maybe isn't really adding anything, I guess is the best way to say it.
Wait, no way. No way.
So for me, I'm sort of just like
No, I didn't get a ball.
and like I guess this is Fall Guys, but like Fall Guys has changed quite a bit, I suppose, because I don't remember there being ball races.
No, I didn't get a ball. It's over. It's over.
Like they missed like whatever, and then they, you know, they got this going. You know, we got this meme. Like I feel like what I would want to see is like this song going the entire time, like this sort of an effect. Like, oh, we're blowing through, we're doing it. I don't need none of this stuff in the middle. Like.
Wait, no.
Like maybe a little bit of like of just a real quick montage with this song going.
Wait, no way. No way. No way. Yes! Yeah! Let's go!
And then we kind of this is a little long in the tooth, I think, at the end as well. So like
Let's go! Yeah! Yeah!
maybe like
Yeah!
so like
Let's go! Yeah!
and maybe just ending it like there. So taking this almost minute-long thing and kind of like maybe even just starting it like right here.
No, I didn't get a ball. It's over. It's over. No. Wait, no way. No way. No way. Yes! Yeah!
And like again, like I maybe a little bit of very very fast paced editing of like this obstacle, like maybe spanning 4 seconds maybe. With if this song were to continue on and then we cut to the end of like blowing past everybody. And then I think that would be good. This isn't as bad because we see, you know, the fun little dance at the end. So we see a little bit of their personality. But I feel like this isn't necessarily like I think this one's like okay. To post. Like I feel like this is an okay choice to turn into a clip or a short. Because it kind of has like, okay, we have the setup. We have, you know, this catalyst. I feel like maybe this could show up a little sooner.
No. No. Wait, no way. No way.
And then yeah. So just sort of like there's sort of some through line that doesn't take like a minute to tell of mostly not talking. You know what I mean? if that makes sense. And just like, I feel like the originally the sort of tone was shifting a little bit all over the place. And how you say, I like the, you know, this music is hype and then it just goes back to the really low key Jelly Bean music in the background, for the vast majority of it. So I think cutting this down real significantly can help this.
Let's go.
I would like to see a little more. Again, it kind of boils down to a lot of personality, but this is, I think this sort of passes the test. I think it could perhaps be a little stronger, I guess, but like this effectively has all the parts, you know what I mean? But I would like to see that personality shine through. That's what I want. All right, so this one is from Juwoo, and Juwoo has submitted a lot of clips before, but they usually are raw like this. They're not like actual short, so I have not included them. But today, I asked for raw stuff, so this is that. So this one's a couple minutes long. This is like almost 2 minutes long. So we're gonna watch this, and we're not really gonna. Well, how do I say? So okay, so I guess before we watch this, I'm just gonna set us up, because I don't want to rewatch this because it's real long. But basically, this is a lot of small clips of Juwoo and their friends kind of having silly times in this pool VR chat world. And it's kind of like an out of context sort of thing. And now I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to double check with them about kind of what if this was, because this is like roughly edited. But I don't know if their intent was like, I should have had people specify when they, because most people sent me edited stuff, but so I think like if this video had the proper framing, and we start off with the funniest line, then I think that this could have legs to stand on. But like we're just gonna kind of watch through and think about like what small excerpts you'd like to take out of this almost 2 minutes. Oh, but also we're gonna go over here. And then I think I'm gonna make this a little louder also. We're gonna put that hard limiter on again. Put on that hard limit. -2, please. -2. Okay. All right, here we go.
If I was in a headset right now, I would have like mad motion sickness.
Oh, Beyblade, they rip.
I'm coming back.
Could you imagine the chaos that Juwoo and I would bring when we have like full body tracking?
You know, I'm thinking maybe it's a good idea not to get full body tracking. It's just so expensive in this economy. Hey. This looks very natural, no? Yeah. I think so.
Natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is natural. This is
the most natural.
This is the most natural.
Entirely normal.
Juwoo! Juwoo, it looks like you're being dragged by a demon!
This is how the pro synchro swimmers do it.
Is that how you guys swim?
Yeah.
Dude,
Why is
stop
Nick doing that?
Stop showing my chat your hole! Jawuzi! We don't need to see this!
Jawuzi! Ready, oh no! Oh no! I went up Mimi's ass! Ah!
Twitch! I don't know these people. This was just a random world I came into, I swear!
Why am I crucified? Why am I crucified?
Did you break your model?
Jesus core. I think so.
All right, so this one's also a little interesting because I feel like these are clips from not Juwoo's stream. So they're not like the focus of it. So we can kind of really just like to everything I've been saying, we can kind of like boil things down to we want to make Juwoo stand out. So we're going to select clips that like are funny and about them, right? So I think it's like I I think like, and again, this is sort of a language thing, but like if we started with.
Stop showing my chat your hole, Jawuzzy. Stop
Like I think right here.
showing my chat your hole.
Maybe wait.
Stop showing my chat your hole, Jawuzzy. We don't need to see this.
So like.
Jawuzzy.
I think like this line over maybe this image, you know what I mean? I think that would be a very like a pretty funny. That's probably the strongest hook here. So like if we kind of just let's unlink these and
stop showing my chat your hole. Showing my chat your
and like we can even like
hole.
like we can like
my chat your Jawuzzy.
And we can kind of rate stretch this to make it a little slower, and then like we could kind of like we could zoom in to kind of show that Jiwoo is the focus. This is what we're talking about. Versus having to scan the whole screen to figure out what are we talking about.
Stop showing my chat your Jawuzzy.
So like that's very funny, right? And then it's like this is I think a strong enough hook that if we are now seeing a lot of short little clips of things happening in this short that highlight Jiwoo, I think that would kind of be the way to go. So this one is important because it's sort of a matter of framing. Which is effectively kind of all we've been doing in the first place, but like this really shines a light on like what the power of editing and like what you can do with like a raw clip in terms of like structuring the narrative of it. So like there are a lot of funny things that like
I was in a kids right now. I had like mad motion sickness.
like this part where they come flying in.
Beyblade, they rip.
And we got the Beyblade thing. We can put that in there. And then there's a lot of these moments that like
the chaos that Jiwoo and I would bring when we have like full body tracking.
like a lot of this stuff. It's like I don't really understand what the joke here is personally. I feel like I'm missing something. I'm not sure, but but like I think there's like 3 or 4 or 5 like funny moments out of this that you could just put in like a real like out of context style of short, and that would do well
How
enough.
the pro synchronizers do it.
And we're not gonna maybe go through the whole thing, but that's sort of the idea. It's like you can kind of take the best moments out of this. These, it's like if there's not a through line, if there's not like a narrative, that's okay. If all the pieces kind of can be restructured in a way that like makes sense, and isn't confused. Because I feel like it's like if you're just watching the raw clips, I'm a little unclear on what's happening. On my second watch, I'm like, oh, this is actually a stream. I didn't realize this was a stream. The first time around because I wasn't like paying close enough attention. And that part doesn't like really matter so much except for the part where the streamer of this clip is like, I don't know these people. Like that's funny, right?
We don't need to
see this. Ready? Oh no! Oh no! I went up Mimi's ass.
Twitch, I don't know these people. This was just a random world I came into. I swear.
And like, if this is the end of this one,
I don't.
telling Twitch sort of thing. I think that would be a fine way to end this. I feel like if you're having a hard time finding these sorts of pieces in the stuff, like if you can't like start it strongly and end it strongly, then I feel like you have to really take a hard look and be like, is this worth it? Is this worth turning into something? And again, all those pieces, I really would like to see that are your personality shining through. Do you recommend doing out of context compilations for shorts? Does not go over as well as compared to ones with arcs. I think it depends. It depends on sort of the strength of it. Like, I think like something. It all depends. Like the most important thing is your hook. So if your hook entices people to keep watching, like if your hook is strong enough, and then the clips that follow it can deliver on that, like if they're equally as funny, like I think go nuts on an out of compilation. Depending on or an out of context compilation. If you can tell one story out, like, how do I say? I would say I only want to see out of context compilations if it sort of suits it. Like if you have a lot of these like random funny moments that like won't fit. If they're like really funny, like if they're like kind of funny, I would be like, is this good enough? And then also there's something to be said about like just do stuff and learn by your mistakes. So I don't mean to ever say like don't try a thing, but the point of this is like, because you're not going to learn if you don't try things, of course. But like, I think it's just a matter of like, you know, just keep making stuff that you feel is good. Like in the moment, if you feel good about it, that's the most important thing. And what I'm trying to do here is kind of like veer your, to kind of change the direction in which you are looking and what your like kind of metrics are for like, because I find a lot of people like they start and they just don't really have any idea what is good. It's very difficult for a lot of people to see another short that somebody did and kind of pick apart the pieces on like why it's like entertaining, like what is good about it. And so when they go to make their own short, it's kind of just like, well, I don't know. And since a lot of us are streamers, it's like, where are we going to get content? Oh, of course, from our streams. But a stream is a very different framework for what is, you know, acceptable and what is funny. Like, you know, you have a 3-hour stream, maybe you have like 2 or 3 like rip roaring funny moments in a sea of like pretty okay moments or some downtime. Like people don't, you know, reasonable people don't expect that there won't be like a little bit of downtime in a stream, like where maybe we are not at a 10, we are at, you know, a 6 or a 5 or something. Because it's a marathon, not a sprint. But a TikTok, a short, a reel, those are sprints. So you gotta like come out the gate swinging. I'm throwing a lot of different analogies at you, but that's sort of what I would say. So like, maybe that was a bit of a convoluted answer, but basically like you just want to make sure that whatever you're putting out is like you feel good about it. And if it doesn't do like well, like if it doesn't like do numbers, just try again, you know, like it's, you know, you're never going to learn if you don't keep trying. So if you're like, hey, my content, like I don't remember their name. There was a really funny, IRL like Minecraft streamer. I'm blanking on their name, but they did a lot of these things. They would just say these really out of pocket things during stream, and their shorts, their TikToks were just like, you know, 59-second at the time, because this is a bit long ago, of like these moments of like why you should never watch me, and it was just them saying not like edgy stuff, but like all these like inappropriate things. And I thought it was very, very funny, and those videos seemed to do pretty well, you know, as far as I could see. And so it's one of these things where it's like, sometimes you gotta kind of figure out what style of content works for you. So some people are really thriving with what I'm calling story time, shorts, where it's like they've written out a script, they're saying some stuff, but that's not for everybody. Maybe what you want is to capture your funny moments from stream, and that like works well, and that works for a lot of people. But you just gotta and then maybe what works best for you is like a compilation sort of style of thing. I think it's the kind of thing where you need to play around with it, see what feels good to make, and kind of just go from there. is what I would suggest. Okay, so let's go to this is, I think their name is Lily Anarak, I think. I'm not 100% sure if I'm pronouncing that right. They also sent 2 videos, but I wasn't able to get both of them. Okay, so here we go.
Do I really sound like an AI?
One enemy remaining.
Okay, last guy's one. I hit him for 78.
Spike down B.
Oh.
I too was also one.
Unfortunate. You sound like, okay, I'm not trying to be a dick, but you kind of sound like an AI, bro.
No, really?
Yes, bro. Like you're Cortana or some shit. Do you have like a TikTok?
Yeah, it's my username.
Do you like act as an AI on it?
No, I do not.
Oh, unfortunate. I was gonna say, like, Loki, like, you see those, like, TikTok lives, like, you'd go crazy. You'd, like, get so much money. I'm an ace! Yeah, can you, like, congratulate me on, like, an AI voice?
So, this one I felt like had a lot of sort of potential, but it just sort of ended. And I was expecting the end of this the first time I watched it, and honestly, also the second time I watched it,
Yeah, can you, like, congratulate me on, like, an AI voice?
like to hear the AI voice, like to hear the streamer do that, but then they just don't, and I don't know what happened in the actual game, right? But I'm sort of like lost on like what the story is of this. Like, I'm not 100% sure if we're supposed to be relating with this other teammate. Like, I'm assuming this is some random, but like, use the Google Cortana and not the Halo Cortana. But like, and it's like this person's doing a lot of the talking, and then again, I mean, this is kind of boils down to what I've been saying this entire stream. But like, I don't really know. I'm not seeing the reaction from our streamer on like how they feel about this. Like, they're kind of like, I don't know if, you know, this person, I don't know if we're supposed to interpret them as like they're bothering the streamer, or if they think that it's cool that they sound like an AI. Like, they sound a little, I'm inferring quite a lot, so maybe I'm wrong, but like, it sounds like maybe they're like a little bit annoyed with this person, but it's not like super clear. And they're just kind of doing most of the talking, this other person. So, you know, we could cut this down and trim this up a little bit, but I feel like in general, like, the focus on this is the AI voice, and that's what the hook is. I think the hook here is like pretty good.
Do I really sound like an AI?
But then I feel like what we see doesn't really like deliver on that so much, if that makes sense. Like, we have the, you know, we see the speaker talking in an AI voice, like right here.
I too was also one.
Unfortunate. You sound like, okay, I'm not trying to be a dick, but you kind of sound like an AI, bro.
Like, I like all the is this the volleyball anime? What's the name of that? I don't remember. Haikyuu. I did remember. I got there. I did it. So like, this is I like this sort of visual thing, because like, I feel like this is kind of the meta for, I think this is Valorant. This looks like Valorant, I think. For these kind of like for shorts that happen in these competitive FPSs, I feel like the kind of meta is like, there's not a lot to look at, so you lean on emotes and things, and that's like fine. Like, that's kind of like what happens on that side of TikTok or Reels or whatever. But for me, it's just like, this doesn't like have like a payoff really at all. Like,
Really sound like an
do
AI?
I sound like an AI? We hear the conversation about it.
Do you have like a TikTok?
And then the rest of it is just this guy kind of, they're just sort of having this like conversation. And then there's this setup.
Can you like congratulate me on like an AI voice?
And just literally no payoff. Like, if the payoff was happening over the call to action screen, which again, I'll just say, in case that person is just watching this part, I strongly recommend against these sorts of end screens, because they will follow you if they liked what they saw. They'll just do it. You don't need to trick them. And not trick is a strong word, but you know what I mean. You don't need to like convince them. So you know what I mean. So I feel like in this instance, like I don't know what happened after. I don't know what if maybe there wasn't an end after this, but like for me, like if this is what I had, like this doesn't have enough of it. It doesn't really show off. You know, if this was me, this doesn't really show off my personality very well. And there's not even like really like a joke at the end of it. Like there's not like a story here. It's kind of just like a big, like a small chunk of something that happened in this game. Yeah, like if this would all have a big payoff. I think you're right. Of like if maybe the congratulation in an AI voice was like real sassy or something, like, and just see what their reaction was. And maybe that's not the vibe of this streamer, right? But like, so I don't know, but that would sort of complete this package, and then I could easily see, you know, trimming this down and having it up. But as it stands right now, I'm not seeing like there's no payoff. So it's not even like there's a payoff that doesn't work. There's just no payoff. So for me, like I wouldn't want to use this one. And they sent a second one, and I wasn't able to get it, so I do apologize for that. This is another one. These are two with a very similar. We're gonna watch one and then the other in a row from this one. They're pretty short. And then I'll kind of give. But my thoughts are kind of the same for both of these. So, or I'm doing this again. I need to get this over here. Okay.
Whoa. This is such a cool part! I'm gonna cry. It's so cute! Wait, I can poke it. Let me poke. Poke it! Poke it! Poke it!
And that's the first one.
You see, if I had hands, I would slap you on the face right now. But sadly, I don't. I do have feet though! So I can try to kick you. Bow. 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 See it? There you go. I kicked you. I kicked you! Yeah!
Okay. So the first one, kind of right off the bat, like there's really nothing happening. I love the streamer's energy quite a bit. I feel like I'm getting a lot of their personality. So like on that front, I feel like we're doing pretty good. However, conversely, I feel like the weakness of in other areas of these shorts, the personality in this case isn't like kind of making up for it. And I feel like if you have to have a problem, this is a good problem to have, because like I feel like a lot of streamers kind of have a hard time finding their voice, so to speak. You know what I mean? And that's something that I don't really have any advice on. That just comes with time and practice, right? But like, if I feel like, you know, and I'm making assumptions because I don't know anything about this streamer, except from what I've just seen from these two shorts. But I get a really strong vibe of their personality. Like I understand, like I feel like I wholly understand what I would be in for if I hopped in on one of their streams, right? Like this is like the energy is good, and like they seem to have a good sense of like what they're doing. However, as far as like what this short like is, like this first short's like kind of like what's happening in it is like almost nothing. Like,
whoa. This is such a cool part! I'm gonna cry. It's so cute! Wait, I can poke it. Let me poke. Poke it! Poke it! Poke it!
So it's sort of just like, I feel like this is so small on the. I'm assuming this is FF14. Like this is such a little guy, and this is one of those instances where like I think usually people are pretty understanding if you have to zoom in on something to emphasize it, like to show you, and then it gets a little crunchy as a result of the zoom. However, this is what we're supposed to be focusing on right now. And this is another example of like, I don't think you always need to have the streamer on screen 100% of your short. I think it's good actually to not have yourself on screen some of the time. Especially if what the viewer needs to see is this pet. So right now, I don't know what other footage might exist, but like if there was a close-up of this animal, maybe we could see that. But it's sort of just like, the hook is just like, in this instance, it's just nothing.
Oh.
It's no words, a zoom,
Oh.
hello,
Oh.
and then we go over here. For my eye, this is getting a little advanced, but like a lot of times you really need to think about where the viewer's eye is going to go, because phone screen's not so big, but like we went from this to this. So my eye tracked to her, or to them, I should say. Because I don't know. But what we're supposed to be focusing on is this pet. But I'm not looking at that because we kind of like, this is the way my eye tracked, right? This is the larger half. So I have to assume that this is kind of like what we're to be looking at, you know? But, and then we have, there's also something to be said. I don't know if maybe these are like CapCut transitions. This is such a cool pet would be a great hook too. Yeah, exactly. So like, I feel like,
This is such a cool pet!
like, I feel like this is better. Maybe we could just focus on the pet and then cut to the VTuber. Maybe a double, you know, the double like this. But like, it is unclear. Like we see them,
Oh.
and then we effectively see them with a very small. It's hard for me to even parse what I'm looking at, even on the larger. You know, this is bigger than my phone would be on my monitor. It's still hard for me to see what I'm looking at, right? So, like, I think, yeah, if we just started here, full screen on the animal, that would be a way better hook.
This is such a cool pet! I'm gonna cry. It's so cute! Like, I can poke.
But so I interrupted myself, but these sort of, like, transitions, and again, I don't know if these are, like, baked in, like, CapCut ones or like how, like what exactly, but these sorts of things for me, they just like make me feel like I'm going from, like, how do I say this? So like when I Comfy Catboy am editing like out of context style videos, maybe there's a better word for that, I guess, like highlights videos would make sense, but like when I'm doing that, usually what I try to do, and this isn't wholly original or anything, but like, if there is a bit that's happening, we'll say maybe there's like 20 seconds of one thing that's all kind of related to itself. What I'll do is, that's all just jump cuts, typically. Like, in that little bit, we got jump cuts. And then, when we're moving on to a new thing, I use the kind of color bars and the beep, like the beep kind of noise, to just as a, and it's for 5 frames out of 60 usually, maybe 30, to emphasize like, okay, we're done with that bit, we're moving on to another bit now. Maybe there will be a callback, but now just with a 1/6 of a second little thing, we are now, the viewer is sort of informally told that we're doing something different now, even though it's in the same stream, it's the same streamer. It's like, this is a new joke, this is a new setup, punchline, whatever, out of context line, whatever it may be, and that it's just to clue the viewer in that we're doing something different now. So for me, coming back to this, for me, sort of subconsciously, I feel like these show me one. These sorts of transitions that, like, let's see, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 12 to 13, depending. That is over a third of a second. Dedicated to just a transition. So that's kind of a long time in editing minutes. How do I say? So that sort of like is subconsciously telling me like, oh, we're moving on to something else. This is a different thing. But in this instance, it's not. This is all one related thing. So for me, I don't want to see like transitions like that just to cut from one thing to the other. I basically always want to use jump cuts. If I'm using another type of transition, it's with purpose. Like, maybe where if somebody's telling a story, maybe I use a crossfade to kind of indicate, oh, we're going into a flashback section of this story, or like something like that. You know what I mean? Everything that you do like kind of matters, and maybe other people would interpret this differently, but I feel like for me, it's like this is just like needlessly lengthening the short. Yeah, they're not motivated that's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's like they're just transitions, and there's sort of like they look like the transitions themselves. There's nothing wrong with the transitions, like they look fine, but like in a storytelling perspective, in a narrative perspective, it's kind of like, well, why are we having these like time advancing cuts versus just a jump cut?
I'm gonna cry. It's so cute. Wait, I can poke it. Let me poke it.
You know what I mean? So it just makes everything take a lot longer. When I feel like a jump cut would just be better. Like, I feel like this whole short would feel a lot better with just jump cuts. Like, just taking out the transitions would help the feel of this by a lot. Now, it feels like this short's really short, but it kind of feels like it takes a while because of all these transitions. Yeah, they look fine, but they'll look even better if they serve the plot. Exactly. Like, I feel like coming in on one of those can work. That's kind of like what I showed earlier in the stream. And this second one is also, like, we have this on black for, like, a while. So, like, I feel like it's not, I guess it's not. It's effectively a second and a half. That's long enough for somebody to swipe away when nothing is happening, right? Just right off the bat. But even if we were to cut this.
You see if I had hands?
Like.
You see if I had hands?
If I had hands. Like, I think this one, like, works well enough. It just takes a little while. If I had hands.
I would slap you on the face right now. But sadly, I don't.
See, and then we got these transitions now, but what's the point of them?
I don't. I do have feet though. So I can try to kick you. Bow. Bow.
Like, I feel like.
Bow. Bow. See it? There you go. I kicked you. I kicked you. Yeah. I kicked you. Yeah.
And then, yeah, so like, I feel like this just instantly is probably gonna work a lot better.
If I had hands, I would slap you on the face right now.
And even this is like.
Right now. Face right now. Sadly.
Then we could even maybe, you know, add some of my favorite bamboo sound effect.
Sadly, I don't. I do.
Like sound effects can kind of help this a little bit. SpongeBob sad face. Sound effects I use just constantly.
I don't. I do have feet though. Bow. I kicked you. Yeah.
And then this kind of works. It sells the joke.
If I had hands, I would slap you on the face right now. Sadly, I don't. I do have feet though. Bow. I kicked you. Yeah.
So like I feel like that kind of would it sells the whole thing a lot better. It's all the exact same information, just packaged in a more digestible, more direct way. And it still shows off their personality, I feel like. So this is like something I feel like works enough. And we got a hook now. Like we sort of created a hook that was already there. Like I didn't have to, all I had to do was cut this a little differently. Like all I did was trim this and add 2 sound effects, you know what I mean? Like this isn't like technical deep editing. But again, it's like if you haven't kind of done this thing, if you don't know what direction to go in, then why would you know what I mean? All right, we got Mycella's coming up. So let's see. I'm gonna raise the volume on this as well. Let's say 9. Hard limiter. Just in a general sense, I feel like just as a general rule, some people want to do it a little lower. I feel like your audio, like your speaking volume in general, you want to have the majority of it be between -6 and -12. With your loudness getting kind of up here in general, I think that you should have a hard limiter filter on all the audio on your stream. You can do that in OBS. I don't know if you can do that in Streamlabs. If you're using Streamlabs, stop using Streamlabs. Streamlabs sucks. OBS is a little more difficult, but so much better in the long run to learn. And Streamlabs is just really super terrible. I had to Streamlabs, just real quick story. I had to quickly update to OBS because I discovered that the reason that my capture card was crashing was because of Streamlabs. Like I had troubleshooted the hell out of my like Elgato capture card, like the standard. And they had no idea, like, their support was like, oh, I don't know, that's crazy. And then one day, I don't remember how, but I figured out that it was literally because of Streamlabs. And, like, that's miserable. That's so awful. I've never had an issue like that with OBS. So, everybody get OBS. Anyways, it's easier on your computer also. If you have a sort of lower-end computer, OBS will be much better to stream with. That said, here we go, Mycella.
Dog dollar.
Or, yeah.
Dog dollar. A dollar with a certain dog on it. Its value decreases each chapter. Some would say, some would say that because the dog dollar depreciates over time, and that's a pretty rough situation. It's a rough situation.
All right, so let's cut this last bit off. All right, so I think that I think that this does a pretty good job of selling personality. So that's good. I think at the very beginning here,
dog dollar.
And I will say, I think I want to say that you said you caption in CapCut, is that correct? For me, a lot of these text effects are like a little wild.
So some people, some would say that because the dog dollar depreciates over time, and that's a pretty rough situation.
Like I think it's kind of what we were talking about before. Like in this instance, it's like
rough.
Like this is a crazier text effect for the punchline, and I think like that's great. I think that that's excellent. But when that sort of thing is kind of happening with like regular words,
dog dollar, a dollar with a certain dog on it. Its value
like we have like
a
dollar. Like this
is
a like, and this one comes down like from up high, kind of for seemingly no reason. Perhaps just to sort of add diversity.
Dog on it. Its value decreases each chapter. Some would say, some people. Some would say that because the dog dollar depreciates over,
and then yeah, we kind of have a little bit more of that.
The dog dollar,
like the word dollar comes up all crazy, but it's sort of like, well, what's happening? And I feel like it's like a little bit disorienting.
Dollar depreciates over time.
This is a small point, but I feel like having kind of consistent transitions, unless there's a specific reason to emphasize that word, I think is probably the best call for the most part. Like on whatever words are important, like jazz them up certainly, but otherwise just I would say keep it consistent. Like I think kind of a simple animation is the best. Definitely better than no animation. But kind of just having like a lot of different things is a little disorienting. So regarding the hook, I would say that like you're saying this and we kind of have this zoomed up thing. We can see half of the dog dollar here, but I would love to like I need to see what we're talking about. I would say like so if it was the kind of thing where, and I don't know what sort of CapCut limitations you're working under, but like I don't know what that's capable of. I've never used that. But if we had like the whole inventory and then we like zoomed in
$1
on it, and then like maybe, you know, we can see the description once you're wherever that appears, you know. I feel like that's the kind of thing I would want to see, because right now if I don't know that this
dog,
I mean, most people know about Undertale, but like if I don't know what Undertale is,
$1 with a certain,
I don't have like any context for what's happening at all right
dog
now.
on it. Its value decreases each chapter. Some would say, some people, some.
I also feel like just sort of the comedy of this. Test, hello.
Some would decreases each chapter. So
I would like
some would say
like when you're kind of struggling to like like I like this. I feel like adding kind of some more cuts and things.
Some people some would say
this is another example of like
some would say that,
like these words are just kind of coming out so wildly.
Some would say that because the dog dollar depreciates over time, that's a pretty rough situation. It's a rough situation.
So like you sort of know that you've told like a bad dad joke, and that's part of it, right? So I feel like also in this instance, like we can kind of like we can jazz this up with sound effects. Like sound effects can do a lot of the legwork, and we're just gonna listen. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Bamboo time, babies. So like
some would say so.
But also you can kind of like, you can play around with a lot of this. Like we can kind of like zoom this out a little bit. Like a lot of times you can do, nope, if I could spell anything, black and white. You can kind of like do this sort of a thing.
Would say some people, some
maybe you can kind of like do a bit of a rotate, like, just to really kind of like, oh, I'm struggling. Let's make the struggling like let's amplify that.
Would say some people, some would say that because the
and then we get it, and then you get going in earnest.
Dollar depreciates over time, and that's a pretty rough situation.
And then maybe like we have this lowest pitched bamboo.
It's a rough situation.
And then we just get out of there. I think additionally, I think having a lot more kind of like this is the framing for the whole thing. And I think that this is better than not, certainly, but if you're sort of able to kind of change this up a lot, like it's like, oh, we have this to start, and then it's like, oh, if I'm reading the dog dollar thing, maybe it's just a full screen of that, and then we cut to.
Some would say some people,
and I like maybe you can kind of have some shots where it's like just a full frame of you for a little bit, and then we're cutting back to the double shot kind of thing.
say that because the dog dollar depreciates over time.
Like, I like the little
that's a
inserts.
pretty rough situation.
I think that the Sans thing with the rim shot's very funny.
It's a rough,
like, that's perfect.
Rough situation.
And then I feel like this is now a little more kind of tightened up.
Dog dollar, a dollar with a certain dog on it. Its value decreases each chapter. Some would say some.
And it's also one of these things where it's like, I think that the hook here is like, it could be a little stronger. So like, depending on what options you have available to you, I just off the top of my head, I feel like it would be very funny to see like an American $1 bill, with a dog in the middle instead of old Georgie Washington. You know what I mean? That off the top of my head is like, oh, that's funny to me, like a dog dollar, and then that's like creating. It's like a little bit. It's kind of amplifying what's happening in terms of kind of hilarity. Yeah, Monopoly money, that would be funny too. Anything like that, like a dollar bill of whatever, right? With the dog on it, and then it's like, and then people be like, what? I'm sorry, what? And then they're gonna like see what's to come. Like you know what I mean? Adding Sunny, like even if, how do I say? I think that I've been talking about this the whole stream, the importance of highlighting yourself. And I think that you can do that with editing as well. Like if it doesn't all have to be things that happened in the moment, like you can kind of add your own flavor to it with things like the editing. So if you kind of were, to do something like that, it's like, oh, that's good. Ooh, that's good. Like kind of, I don't know. These are sort of like the thoughts I have. Let me know if you have any sort of specific questions. You can say you don't have a bone to pick with that video. All right, moving on to Taff V, who is still here, of course. You just said a thing. Okay, so here we go. I have thoughts about this as well. No, let's make this loud. I should have done this earlier. I was like running a little late getting going today. I finished my breakfast sandwich like 3 minutes before I hit go live. Okay. So here we go. God. Oh. I have to make it back. I have to make it back. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. I have a cat. I have a cat. All right, so I think that there is so much. Yeah, Taft's got a great model. I think there is so much kind of potential here. So for me, let me just sort of let me hit you with the critiques first, and then we'll kind of see how I feel like I would what I would do to improve it. Very helpful seeing someone else critique your video. I feel like I was giving Comfy Cat secrets. Hell yeah, I'm happy to hear that. This is what I want. I just want to help everybody, right? And there's a lot of stuff. There's so many like other YouTubers that are like, you have to do this and you have to figure out your own stuff. And that is all true, but it's not like guided advice on like what you might want to make your content about. And this, I feel like it's difficult to just tell people like throw spaghetti at the wall, and just see what sticks. And that is true. You do have to do that, but like when you're just starting out. But I think having just a direction at all and having just any feedback is helpful. So I like doing these. I was trying to do these once a month, but the holidays kind of made everything a little crazier, so we missed a few months. But I'm back, baby. I forgot to self-promo anything, also. Hold on. Wait, I'm a good streamer. I promise. Hold on. We're 2 hours and 20 minutes in. It's time for a self-promo before I get to Taft's thing. Where is my card? There it is. All right, babies. Just real quick. This is nope. I have to hit the send button. Okay, dope. So I offer a lot of services. I have this YouTube channel where I have free kind of tips and tricks and things, but mostly like not like here's how to do this specific thing. It's like, hey, here's general advice directed in this direction. But I also offer video review services. So if you want a more direct approach to like, let me start. I burped. Let me start that over. This is a good promo. I'm a good streamer. I offer review services. If you want to hire me to do that. So like we have a few different tiers, but you'll send me X amount of shorts and I will take a look. And kind of I'll record a video and then send you this video as I'm reviewing them live and kind of giving you the advice that I think what my advice for you specifically would be across sort of a breadth of videos, if that makes sense. So additionally, I have a Ko-fi shop where I have a lot more sort of advanced videos. They're all based in Premiere, so if you're not in Premiere, if you're not using Premiere, buyer beware. But those are my things. I would love for you to check those out. It's comfycatboy.card.co and ko-fi.com/comfycatboy/shop. I love you all. Thank you. Okay. Here's Taft's video. Oh, we already watched it. I'm a good streamer. So here we go. So I think that the hook here is it's a lot of black screen. We see this this cat come up, and I think this cat graphic is quite good. But I want to see it immediately. And then we kind of have this slow fade. What I want is a cut. Immediately a cut. And then I still don't 100% know what's going on, but I have all the information I need for right now. I don't need the second meow. There's sort of a lot of nothing, but like then nothing that pertains to the core of the story, I should say. And then and then what I want to do, we're gonna just sort of J cut here or L cut, whatever letter. Maybe like yeah, just real fast. And then we can let that sound go. And we can kind of like cut to here. We can kind of like, you have the cat now. Maybe we're going to overwrite this, but
I have to make it back. I have to make it back.
So like,
I have to.
So like, we don't need kind of the repeat. We can kind of cut to this. Like,
I have to make it back.
We could honestly, like, if it's sort of like with the right, this is going to be a little difficult to do with what we have here, but like, if you wanted to kind of like, no, there we go. Like if we were to, yes. So like, you can kind of cheat a lot of things in the editing, right? Where it's like, oh, this isn't what you said maybe at this moment. And this is gonna be real sloppy, but like, but like, let's just say like,
I have to make it back.
So we have to make it back.
I have to make it back.
And then we just sort of cut to a little bit of this. And I almost feel like this might be funnier. Like this goes on for quite a while, the Mario music. And we don't need, it's kind of like what I said before. It's like funny for like a second, and then it's like, okay, I get it, sort of energy. So maybe just that much song, and we can like speed up everything. So now it's like fast, which is like a little funnier just on its own. And
I'm almost there. I'm almost there. I have a cat. I have a cat.
so I feel like this ends very chaotically and funny, but I think the main thing for me is like, what I want to see is like, you got this cat back, but then what? Like I'm assuming that you're playing this with other people. Like, I almost want to see what people's reaction was. Why was there a cat? Are people surprised that there was a cat? I don't know if this cat's like part of a mod pack or like what, right? I'm unfamiliar with cats. I haven't played very much Lethal Company, but I didn't think there were cats in it naturally. So it's one of these things where I'm just like, I want to see what happens next. It kind of feels like we're building up to something, and the payoff is just sort of like, I made it back. You know what I mean? We were hunting for a cat for 3 hours, so I was very happy. So I want to know about that in the short. You hear what I'm saying? Like, you've been hunting for 3 hours for a cat. Like, that feels like important information for the viewer to have. Like, maybe it didn't happen in this thing. Maybe it's the kind of thing where you could just say at the very beginning, like, you can do a voiceover, or you can just audio record, you dub it over saying like, after searching for 3 hours, and then it's like, there's a cat. Like, and then that's all the context we need. Right? So that's kind of like where I'm coming from. It's like, oh, if you're 3 hours excited about this cat, and not as I could only potentially interpret, like, just sort of surprised that there is a cat at all. You know what I mean? So I feel like these very subtle, not that difficult to implement changes can make a world of difference in the sort of storytelling of the short, right? So that's the kind of thing that I'm kind of talking about, where it's like, you know, I don't know how I'd word it exactly, but it's something like, after 3 hours of searching, ... meow, like, and that's all you need. Like, people will get it. People 100% get it. And that could be your model at the very beginning, you know, maybe with a slow zoom. I'm always a proponent of like movement. So it's like, if it's just a full shot of your model saying after 3 hours of searching, just with this very, very slow zoom in. And then oh, maybe over you, meow, there's a cat. And then you know, again, I still feel like I would want to see,
I have a cat.
I feel like I would want to see people's reactions. Maybe they weren't like that exciting in the reality of the situation, but like, that's the kind of payoff. I want to see like a payoff. Like, you got after 3 hours of searching, you found the cat, then what kind of thing? Like, you got it back, which is good, but like, but then is everybody happy? What happens after that? Even if the, you know, I like that's kind of like where I'm coming from. If that makes sense. And then just cutting out a lot of this sort of dead air, for lack of a better term. I'll just record us doing a cat ritual dance after stream. Hell yeah. All right, we have a few more, and we got about a half hour left, so let's see. All right. Oh, this is the second Hashaki. I guess I do have the second Hashaki one. Why is it over here? That's weird. Interesting. Okay.
Do you believe in Santa?
Our parents were very good at it. I believed in Santa Claus till like grade 8.
Oh, what? What happened here? Oh. I see. Oh, okay. Hold on.
Holy shit. God damn. I was going to bring up a story. In grade 5, there was a kid who didn't know it. And the teacher was trying to teach the concept of a white line, brought up Santa. Had just an emotional breakdown that his mom had to come to the school. Holy shit. Were you one of those? Goodbye.
Great. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much for dropping in, Marcel. It's always good to see you. Okay, so This one, this feels like they dubbed over the intro, which I think is very good, because I think this would be a little bit worse if it just started off.
Do you believe in Santa?
Our parents were very good at it.
Like, I don't, maybe that's wrong, but like, maybe I'm misinterpreting, but that's what it seems like to me. And then we get into the story, and I think the story is all pretty perfect, for the most part. I think there's not really any dead air. And we have different text for different people saying things. Like, we have orange text and we have more pink text. I think the only thing that really, like, so I think this is like a good story for a short. I think that the visuals of whatever game they're playing don't matter at all. So this would require a lot more sort of work, right? But I feel like this, since it's like a story kind of thing, yeah, flying stock pics, exactly, like that sort of thing is exactly what I'm talking about. So I want to see PNGs of Santa Claus. I want to see, you know, elementary school kids, teachers, like that sort of thing. Even if it's like for the bit, if it's like the pictures with the copyright image like still on them, like the stock image, like Adobe stock, like written all over it or like whatever. I think that's like funny and fine in this sort of a thing. You don't need to have access to a stock website, like, actually, but like those sorts of things I think can be very funny, and I feel like that would turn this from a pretty good short into like a great short. And that's really all the critique I have. I feel like this one, you know, does most of the work. Like, the story part is good. Now the only thing that I am curious about, and I don't know, I don't have a good sense of their voice. So I don't know if this is the streamer telling this story. So if it's not the streamer telling this story, I feel like there is no point to turn this into a short. So I'm only basing that off of like yellow text, orange text, pink text. So if pink text is not the streamer, I feel like, because it's like, this is just one monologue by that guy, and this is like kind of the main part of it. So if that is the case, then like, then I would say like, hey, this is highlighting somebody else being funny, so don't do this. But I'm not sure if that's the case. The sniffing break, I love them. Hey, there you are. Yeah, did you hear all that? Did you catch all that? I don't know why yours weren't next to each other. I drank the last of my tea. Yeah, so team's yelling. Okay, so basically, I just want to confirm or not. Like, I think that this short is very good and entertaining. I think that instead of whatever gameplay bits, like just graphics would turn this into good to great. However, is this you saying the bulk of the story, or is this like a teammate?
I was gonna bring up a story. In grade 5, there was a kid who didn't know it.
Because if this is you, then I don't have any issue with it. But if this story, the bulk of this is somebody else saying this, then I feel like for me, I wouldn't want to turn this into a short for on my channel, if that makes sense. Like, this does not highlight you at all if you are not telling this story. So that's just sort of something to think about, I guess. But otherwise, like, I think like the vast majority of this is like excellent. Like, the story is kind of crazy, and it has like a good, you know, arc and a little payoff thing. Rebecca Chan, hello, hell yeah. Yeah, so it's like you like, maybe this would get views, but to what end is kind of the point. Like, it's like, is this gonna bring people to your channel, highlighting something that somebody else did? Like, that's kind of like where I'm at. But otherwise, I like it a lot. Okay, this one I had some words about. This is go back to this situation. Okay, this is Rotal. They were here earlier. I don't know if they are still here. But if you are, hello. Yeah, hell yeah. Okay, so.
A male slime! I'm gonna go motorboat the slime. Get the fuck away from my wife! I'm not a prostitute. Or am I?
For my study music, I usually like to listen to furry ASMR.
What the fuck? Yes, my butt is for hire.
This is tiny tall man. Tiny what?
All right, so this is an out of context style thing. Let me raise the volume like a little bit. So for me, I think that the things inside are like pretty funny, but it's one of these things where
A mouse slime!
where like this is such an explosive thing, but for the video here has the logo on it, so like that's not your fault. But at the same time, it's like this happens so fast, and I don't see, like, it's just a Stardew clip. I don't think that like even in this short amount of time, even with the prolonged time here, that's such a short time for me to like scan the video to see what you said, to kind of like interpret what you said. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not talking about that. The logo is not your fault. We're just pretending it's not there. But just the same, it's like I feel like I need to be sort of shown. So what you can do to maybe not have to zoom in on it, if we make a double loop, we can kind of like make an opacity mask here. And this doesn't need to be rocket science, right? This will just take a sec. But you can kind of like, so now this is a second layer. You can set the beginning keyframes right at the beginning, and then like 1, 2, 3. And then you just push it out. And again, we're pretending that the TikTok's not on there, and then you just add like some sort of a sound effect, just like a whoosh or whatever.
A mouse slime!
And now we have literally all the context that we need for what you're saying. We see a little bit of movement.
A mouse slime!
We get we understand now like what's happening.
I'm gonna go
Typer Camp too.
motorboat slime. Get the fuck away from my. I'm gonna go motorboat slime.
And I feel like also like in these instances, like playing around with the zooms is going to be like super helpful, because I feel like the things that are happening are funny, right? But it's just sort of like got a bit of a framing issue for me. Like this is a pretty explosive hook, right? It's like we get this is like, oh my god, there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of stuff happening.
I'm gonna go motorboat slime. Get the fuck away from my wife. I'm not a prostitute.
I think what it is like, I love the energy here. I guess I just like, a lot of times like I don't know what I'm supposed to. I don't see what you're reacting to is like the main thing.
Get the fuck away from my wife. I'm not a prostitute.
Like I don't know. I have no clue. Like you're even looking at this now, paused. I don't know what we're talking about. Right. So like, if I can't figure that out, like with a lot of searching, like nobody's going to be able to figure that out by in the brief span. And
I'm not a prostitute.
And this is something that's fine. Like this is a fine one, you know, like these are all.
I'm not a prostitute. Or am I?
Like I think this is good. Maybe like a little zoom to sell this joke. Or am I? Or am I?
Or am I?
Like that's these sorts of things can kind of sell these jokes. My friends was trying to romance my game and my in-game wife. And see, this is the sort of thing, like this is like exactly what I'm talking about, because like sometimes when people present clips to me, they give me context, and I'm just sort of like, okay, if you need to tell me the context for this for me to watch it, we're already at a disadvantage, because I need the like, you can't give, you uploaded this to TikTok, you can't give them the context. They need the context. I don't need the context. Like, it's good that you gave that to me so that I can understand, but that means that the people that watched it didn't understand. And so that's kind of the vibe, right? Like if it's just a funny one-off thing that you don't need context for, like
I'm not a prostitute. Or am I?
Like that's perfect. That's the perfect thing for this. The other note, and then so I always want to see captions, because like I think it's a there's a couple people talking just in general. And I'm having a bit of a difficult time kind of understanding some of the bits, especially near the end. But additionally, just from a framing wise, like if you put at the beginning, like reasons not to ever come to my stream or something like that. Like why I'll never be your comfort streamer or something like that. I feel like at the beginning, without any context, right? I think this is all from a Stardew stream. But then in the middle, we jump to a different... And at the end, we kind of jump across this, and this is probably VR chat or something. So what I might suggest, just for a pacing kind of a thing...
Yes, my butt is for hire. Yes, my butt... Yes.
Cut right there.
Yes, my butt is for hire.
And then, okay, so, like, we're gonna kind of tie some stuff together.
I'm gonna go motorboat the slime. Get the fuck away from my wife. I'm not...
So I'm gonna go ahead and say we're gonna get rid of this since we don't have the context to understand what's happening. But, like, if we took this clip, right, and then we put this clip out right after.
Slime. Yes, my butt is for hire. I'm not a prostitute. Or am I?
So it's like, now these are kind of like related topics, you know what I mean? But we're also pretty quickly giving the sense that, oh, you're going to be seeing a couple different games here. So then it's like, you could kind of like... You could kind of like put that there.
For my study music, I usually like to listen to Furry.
And then you could put this clip here, and then like... And then maybe we have, let's see, I might kind of like end the short with this like real gremlin energy. We have like this kind of fast-ish zoom. We're gonna nest this guy, and I'm gonna add one of my shake presets. Maybe even a bigger shake than that. Come on.
What the fuck?
And then we just end it right there. I'm a big fan too. Wind noises. So then it's like a little more like
a mouse slime. I'm gonna go motorboat the slime. Yes, my butt is for hire. I'm not a prostitute. Or am I?
This is tiny tall man. Tiny what?
For my study music, I usually like to listen to Furry ASMR.
What the fuck?
And then it's like, and then it's kind of like we're a little bit more varied. It doesn't feel like such a switch 'em up when we go from all of the Stardew clips to not to what look like Dark Souls or Elden Ring or something. And we get that right away, and now we're kind of like we get to set the pacing a little better. You know what I mean? So like I feel like the energy is good. I feel like the big things are making sure that captions 100% of the words that are important. Like if there's crosstalk with you and a collab partner and what they're saying doesn't matter, you don't need to I would encourage not including that actively. But like that sort of stuff helps, especially when sometimes it's like, especially when you're getting real loud, it's a little harder to kind of understand, you know what I mean? But these are like, all these things I'm suggesting are like not, you know, this is a little sloppy certainly, but like I just re-stitch these together like nothing. There we go. It's a little clean. And that didn't take very long to do, right? The captions will take a little bit of time. If you're using Premiere, again, I have the whole video on this channel about that. I have another related question. What is it? I had a clip I was debating on submitting, but I was being talked over by my collab mates. Man. All right. I have one of my videos talks about setting up your, so I guess this will only help if you also record your streams to your computer, which I highly encourage doing. Thanks for the tips. I never really put much thought into this, and it helps. Yeah, you're very welcome. I'd never edited before. I mean, like, everybody starts somewhere. Like, I don't, you know, again, like, the whole point of this is to be constructive. I'm not chastising you, certainly. Like, this is like, hey, I think this is a pretty good first step, you know, honestly. So just like these sorts of things are like not incredibly time consuming. To like these small changes aren't that like that difficult to kind of do. But you just kind of have to, you know, like if you don't know to think about doing them, then why would you ever do them? Is kind of like the feeling, right? So I'm here to help. I just want to add captions like not the technical detail, but more of like how do you time them? So my general rule of thumb is the Lethal Company. Oh no. Okay, I understand. Yeah. I don't know how much longer Lethal Company is going to sort of be the Twitch meta. I feel like a bit of an outsider in that I don't really, I'm not having like a ton of fun with Lethal Company. I just don't think it's the game for me, but everybody loves it. So I feel like maybe I'm the wrong one here. Yeah, I would say, so for me, for words on screen, like I aim for 4 to 5. A lot of people will do 1 at a time, and like if you want to, I guess, but I just kind of, I don't really recommend doing that. Additionally, yeah, so I think like 4 to 5, depending on if they're really short words, you know, like, it's sort of contextual. Like I often I'll use the Premiere, like it'll just automatically transcribe them if you tell it to, and it'll do its best, and you'll have to kind of clean up its typos and things. But for me, it's like I edit more on like what needs to be what needs to be accomplished by this. So the captions are another avenue to explore comedy and explore pacing, right? So I typically advise never having a caption go over a cut. You know what I mean? So like if you're going to cut to something, make a new caption. And that often sells not spoiling the joke for fast readers, but you can do something funny with like a 1 word, for a, I don't know, an example, right? It's like, let's mute these we're going to just pretend that this is what is being said here. So we're going to put this text on screen. We're going to say they were staring at my butt, right? We'll put that at the bottom. So they were staring at my butt. So like if this is what we have, like if this is they were staring at my butt and this is like what we have here, right? This is whatever, but like what we could do instead, they were staring at my, and then when we cut, it's butt. Oh, we gotta center this. Butt, and then we make the word butt like really big. So like it'll be like they were staring at my butt, and then you can add like a sound effect or something, and then this is all like extra emphasizing the so I think it's like really contextual to kind of sort of answer your question. Like, and again, this is also not a short, but like just a clip. But so you can get away with more words, but like this is the kind of thing, like I think it's all contextual. Like if you're trying to sell a joke with like the word, I think doing this sort of thing is really good, but it also just depends on like what reads well. Like a lot of times, like I'll redo the captions after I've already done them in certain points, because as I'm going through it, I'm like, oh, that goes by too fast. Like I couldn't really parse what that was. Let me take a word off of the next caption, put it onto the previous caption, and then it'll like flow a little better. So hey, Tess, there's always Pirate Bay or whatever. You didn't hear that from me. It really helped a lot. I didn't realize how much Dead Space. Hey, you're very welcome. Yeah, well, it's hard. It's one of these things where I think the vast majority of people have a hard time kind of objectively looking at their own stuff in that way. And that's not like how do I say? I don't think that's like unreasonable. I think it's like reasonable for you to be proud of your work, and I think that's great. I've just been doing this a very long time. So I've gotten good at like being like, is this good? Is this good? I've been doing this much longer than the 3 years I've been VTubing. Let me just say that. How many passes? For me, it depends. If it's my own personal stuff, Like I just make sure it's good enough. Like I'm a perfectionist, like not in a way that's like I'm a perfectionist, haha, but like it's actually sort of a problem. So I've had to sort of learn how to just it's done enough. Maybe I could work on this for another 20 minutes to improve it another 0.1%. But is that worth the time? And I've just kind of had to get good at like managing my time in that way. The good news regarding that clip, it's just me telling a story so I can recreate it. Hell yeah. Love that. So it sort of depends. Usually, like, the way that I edit is, like, I do things in sections. So, I kind of, like, make sure every section is quote-unquote correct before I kind of move on to the next section. We only have 2 left. If that kind of answers. So it's like I make sure it's like good, and then when it's all done, I watch it, and then usually there's only very minimal changes I have to make because like I'll edit. It's like I think you know what? I have this where I put this information is in one of my paid videos. Not one of my YouTube videos, but it's on the how to edit faster video on my Ko-fi, which I linked a little while ago. If any of you are interested, a lot of those tips are for Premiere specific, but a lot of the techniques are you could use them for anything. But I do have a section in there where I kind of talk about in depth, like these are the section. This is kind of like how I go about it, and it's like I do my assembly. I off the top of my head I forget what they are, but definitely not the quickie. I'm a perfectionist. Teehee. No, it's like, oh, I've spent way too long on this. This has to be done. Kind of thing. Which I'm sure is sort of a byproduct of like ADHD-ness, which is a thing I deal with. But yeah. So basically, it's like that's kind of how I work. So like when I get to the end, there's not typically any like big problems like that, like because I've been spot checking everything as I go, if that makes sense. And I'm not expecting any of y'all to be able to just do that out of the gate, but like I've been doing this quite a long time. But that, you know, it's like if you think about things in chunks like this, I think that can be helpful. It's like you can do the assembly, make sure the assembly looks good. And then it's like, oh, I have ideas about graphics I might want to put on. Now I'm going to put the graphics on. And then you see how that looks. And then when everything's done, I do captions. And then I know, like, hey, this is what the body of it is. Like, so I know, like, I don't have to, I'm not working on sections of this that I'm probably going to cut. I'm not wasting time working on captions for sections that I'm gonna maybe remove later because I've already done that part, if that makes sense. Maybe a little outside your wheelhouse, but do you have any tips or viewpoints about the scripting of a short? 3-act structure, a setup, a build, and a payoff, and then you're done. So if you're telling a story time, you need an interesting setup, something that's going to intrigue. You need like one sentence that is going to pull people in, and then you got to tell them more about that. And then it needs to end with either the conclusion, or the punchline, or whatever. And then you need to end the short. If you get to the conclusion and then you say more stuff, people perhaps will swipe away. And you want people to fully complete your videos to help the algorithm. Like, there's something to be said. People blame the algorithm a lot on if like their TikToks don't do well, but a lot of times, mostly that means that people didn't like it. However, the algorithm specifically cares about, for whatever format, TikTok, Reels, whatever, cares about finished video amount. So like TikTok especially. So if people are finishing your videos, that's very good. And if people are not finishing your videos, then that can reflect very badly. If that makes sense. So in that instance, it is an algorithmic issue. So you kind of have to stack your deck a little bit in that way. So videos that sort of end very suddenly, but satisfactorily, are, I think, in my opinion, the best way to do it. Like, especially if it's like a high energy, like, oh, you left laughing and now we're looped and you're still like, yeah, that was good. I liked that. That was satisfying. So we have these 2 left, but we're honestly out of time, because I gotta get going. We're gonna go, Cozy Cat Girl and I are gonna go buy a vacuum cleaner today. Very exciting stuff. Our vacuum broke and we gotta get a new one. So let's go. Let me put on some music now for the end a bit. Ba-ba-bow-bow. So if you were one of the 2 that I missed, I do apologize. But vacuum cleaner stream. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you all learned a lot. I'm going to hopefully be turning this into an edited video, but we'll see, I suppose. Maybe I'll take some of the points here and kind of just like rewrite them and condense them. Again, one last time for shilling. If you guys want to, right now my actual editing commissions are pretty slammed, so if you are interested in that, there is very high likelihood I will not be able to get back to you. However, my video review services are very much up and running, and if you are using Premiere, which I know Premiere is expensive and has its problems, but I do have a lot of videos on how to get better at editing in Premiere. They are paid videos, but there are lots of free videos on this YouTube web zone. Thank you all so much. This is YouTube, so I won't be raiding anybody. I guess you can raid people on YouTube, but that's not the culture I'm part of at the moment. I love you all so much. I hope you have a lovely rest of your Sunday, a lovely week, and keep an eye out for whatever I'm doing in the future. I'm trying to make more videos on my comedy channel because apparently without me having uploaded a video in over a year or almost a year, it's almost at the baby partner, whatever the baby partner is, in terms of watch time. So that's pretty exciting. So I might try a little harder to work on comedy videos again. I've been very busy, so it's been difficult to kind of eke out time, but I'm working on it. I love you all. I hope you all have a lovely, excellent day, and I will see you next time. Goodbye. Goodbye.